Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Me Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League presented by WTRL. We're in the 2022 year for race number 3 in season 3. And this is Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We are going to be in with the men's and women's races across, what do we got here? Middle East Division 1, EMEA Central Div 1 for the women, as well as South Division for the mixed men's, and the West Division for the women's that are we covering throughout this broadcast today. We'll be jumping across the categories as best we possibly can. I'm Nathan Guerra. Dave Towle is next to me. We've got sprints. We've got climbs. It is a points race back on the schedule now, Dave.
Yeah, 35K of racing out here, Nathan. I pity Sai's job. This is the most complicated race course that I think that we see. Trying to explain this to someone, and like, you get one shot, here's what's going to happen over 35K. You've got country sprint, you've got temple sprint, tower sprint. There's a lot going on out here. A lot of fastest through. So this is some good old school community ZRL racing. Let's get it on.
100%. Well, let's take a look at what Cy Bradley had to say about this, and we'll get right down into some of the sprint that's going to take off from the get-go.
Hey Zwifters, welcome to Nyokio Stage 3, and it's Chasing the Sun. 35 kilometers. We've got 5 time segments, 4 sprints and 1 climb. 7 opportunities to pick up power-ups, and those power-ups today will be the aero, the draft, and an invisibility ghost, making you invisible for 10 seconds. And it's all going to start with this sprint here, the alley sprint. We've got 2 sprints coming within the first 5 kilometers. This one, the alley, and then the railway sprint. The longest sprint in today's stage at 640 meters. It's all about timing, utilizing those power-ups. We're then going to roll up the rooftop reverse. Not a time segment, but I do think it's going to impact the race. We're then going to leave through this tunnel towards the countryside, and in fact towards the shorty sprint in today's stage at kilometer 17, which is the country sprint, just 130 meters. We're then going to roll through up to this point on the dirt roads of the Temple Com. 2.5 kilometers up, 2.5 kilometers down, all on dirt. This is the place where you decide, are you going to switch bikes or are you going to stick with your road bike? We're going to then descend the other side, and then it's a roads all the way back to Nyokio for the final 2 sprints. One, which is the tower sprint, time segments again, first across the line and the fastest through segment before the grand final and that final finish line sprint here at kilometer 35. Good luck, Zwifters. Ride on.
Big thanks to Cy for putting that together. And as he said, right from the get-go, we'll get a replay in here for just a moment because the men's for the Middle East Division A's just went on through, and a couple of risks being taken right from the get-go. And I think that's going to be a theme today. Risk, 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 because of the way that these points do come at us throughout the course.
Yeah, you would think designated role players would be the difference maker. So that's really what this is all about, is collecting points out there. And if you can get some riders, I think maybe that's what we're going to see as riders who are going to target certain segments of this race today, whether it's keeping yourself fresh for later or getting right after it, try to gobble up some early points here. That's the name of the game, is collecting points for your team, and we'll see how that all tallies up here and who's on top of the table when this one, the 3rd race of the season. What a great season it's been already. We've injected a whole bunch of new talent into the community, and again, this is just going to be a throwdown out here today. As a matter of, it's going to be absolutely bananas, no doubt about it. So sharpen up your pencil, as the scorekeeping is going to be critical, and that's something the team directors are going to be looking at. I'm sure, Nathan, is just seeing how we're stacking up here, because it's going to be constantly recalibrating, retooling what you're doing out there.
Go ahead and take a look at what happened for the first sprint in this Middle East here, as they did take off right from the get-go. This is going to be a replay coming at us from this first kickoff from the men. It does look like a little bit of attack took off right from the get-go from Pilkington coming out of Team KC, the Kurtzberg team, actually. And no chase. Interesting enough, at the 0.5 kilometer mark here, he's got quite a ways to go around the corner here, as you do see him run right on through that first sprint section here. They do not chase on right from the get-go, but then the orange numbers do start to open up as they do see a little bit of risk. Interesting, Dave, here, SWM on the chase. They're definitely one of the stronger teams. WZ is there as well, starting to give it a go. I think that's a ramp up, 14 watts per kilogram from Ritter now, and At this point, Pilkington starts to fade. Can he hold on? And right to the line, it looks like it's going to be Schwager that is able to maybe nip him. Pilkington might have held on there, though. We'll have to take a look at the points as they do come through. And now they are starting their climb. So that was the initial sprint. Again, right from the gun, the riders do start kicking off immediately on this course.
Yeah, that is a fine hello, how do you do? The alley sprint there that happened so early. Next up is Railway that we're going to be looking for. There's a couple opportunities to split this group up, though, Nathan. One of them is the rooftop climb, I believe, where you could make some separation. There's no points involved, but it could be a difference maker in the race, and that comes up here in just a few K.
Yeah, exactly. And this rooftop climb, depending on what the riders want to do here, and it was a little bit different on Saturday. I did race this race, and it was a lot calmer because I think there's points on grab in the Electric Spirit Co. Race on Saturday across the final finish line for the winner. It is not a race with points throughout the race, which really changes things up as far as how hard people are going throughout the entirety of the race. Look at this ramp up here, though, as you're talking about the railway sprint. Now, BL13, it looks like, is that going to be BL13? I am seeing a lot of jerseys that look familiar to BL13. Perhaps it's another team that is using that up. Look at Modding here. Now, this is the rider we've been talking about. He's the breakthrough rider of this division, and he takes it down. Berger for R2 across. It looks like it's going to be Ritter again. SWM grabbing the bulk of the points. What a kick there, though, from coming in from Modding.
Yeah, already made his mark on the season. The most dangerous, the biggest threat out there. He's a 3-alarm fire going on. And look at the damage being done right now. Riders going to be struggling to really just make this selection, as it looks like that's exactly what's happening. Oh, wow. There are bodies left, right, center, Nathan. So, man, these are the moments. And this is really an old school throwdown, isn't it, Nathan, as far as getting such an aggressive start? This reminds me of a couple years ago.
Yeah, this is a really aggressive start happening here, and it's actually the sprints with a counter over the top is what's going to split this a little bit. A couple of riders trying to get back on terms. I think they are going to be able to do so as we head backwards just a tad to see the chase there. It is within striking distance, but right before they actually hit this rooftop climb, it is going to make things very difficult on those riders trying to find those heart rates to come a little bit lower rather than be really spiked out the moment we do hit this climb, because it is no joke at the speeds these riders are doing over the top.
Have to remember, too, that not every rider here has the same ambition at this moment. Some of these riders are trying to keep their powder dry and be there for the finale. Other riders are going to be looking to hunt some points here through the early stages of this race, but things have settled back down just a little bit. Again, 35K of racing out here. The course is called Chasing the Sun. You actually chase the sun all the way across the sky, don't you, Nathan, as you finish up back in Nyokyo, don't you?
Yeah, we actually finish up back in Nyokyo, so it's like you go from one side to the other side. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. This is one of the coolest courses, in my opinion, out on Zwift right now. Just there's so much change up. I was actually explaining this course to somebody because after I raced it on Saturday, I was telling somebody about the race, and I was like, it's actually really. While I was explaining, I realized how cool it is because you go through this Nyokyo, downtown, Tokyo type electric feel, and then you go through this tunnel into another ancient land to go find the Kappa at the top of a climb, this demon that's going to torch you with this climb. You're pushing 7 watts per kilogram over dirt. And you feel like you're in this samurai land training. So, pretty amazing what Zwift has done here. And then you come right back into the electric feel of this city. So, very, very cool Chasing the Sun course.
I heard a rumor, Nathan, that if you tried to do a bike swap out there, there's a chance that the Kappa will come and steal your bike right when you hop off it. So that's just a warning. I can't confirm that, but it sounds. You said he's a demon, right? He's certainly not looking out for your well-being. Let's put it that way. We'll be lucky to see the Kappa, Nathan. I think I've only seen it. It was you and I, maybe twice. Now that I think about it. Hey, Sisu Racing, great to see this team. It's fun to watch the ascension of Sisu. What a beautiful course. You're right, Nathan. So when they talk about chasing the sun, I'm not sure if I finished that thought or not, because they are going to be riding into the daylight here. It speaks to how complicated, but when they're doing that country sprint that comes up, I call it 17K in, the Temple, and that's the sector where we really will be talking about bike changes out here. I watched Sai's video, the extended play version this week, Nathan, and one thing that I noticed with him, and he said, "Don't come at me, don't at me." He said because
Did
his
he say
bike,
that? Did he
yeah,
say
he
that?
did because his bike change, I think he was fast forwarding the video when he did it, but I think he said it took him 10, 11, 12 seconds, somewhere in there. And we've determined now that the quickest change that you can make is around 7 seconds, probably a little bit under that. But then we're starting to talk about marginal gains where getting under 6.5 seconds is unimaginable. Let's talk about the racing, though. I'm sorry, Nathan. Look at what Sisu's doing here. They are tenderized. They've got the meat cleaver out right now and hacking this race up. They're not tenderizing it. They're cutting it to chunks.
Look at the back of the pack right here. I mean, there's a split happening. And, if you really want to gain some points, it's a good way to do so. If you can get the bulk of your team. I mean, we've seen that over and over again where a team just dominates when it comes to the getting into the main breakaway. If they get enough numbers up there, it's just free points essentially because you've dropped everybody else off from being able to even grab any. So Sisu really putting the work in, it looks like here. They've already dropped off a few more riders. It looks like maybe 7, group of 7 off the back here. I think we have somewhere around 30 plus riders. It looks like it's going to come back together though a little bit. Real quickly, let's take a look at the current series standings. This is one of the most interesting that we have. Look at this, Dave. That new SWM, Schwarz Waldmilch. Here, is that... All right, Milch, excuse me. I am studying German currently. Is that something with milk? Or is that... I don't even know. It's one word, though, so I have no idea. I'm going to figure that
so
one out.
So you've learned, like, the milk and left and right and stop. Yeah, but so we'll find out. You know what? That's very Googleable. I've got so many windows open right now because you know what? We'll check that out. But I think, Schwarzwaldmilch. I think we can probably...
protein. It's translation here. It's Black Forest milk. Black Forest milk. Yeah. The Black Forest. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Okay. I was right about the milk at the end. Wasn't too bad.
Good job.
The translation
Baby steps
coming through.
Baby steps. Yep.
Kurtzberg A1 Aero Bees. Cryogen Col de las Los. How do you do that last one there, Dave? Loze?
La Loz.
Thank you. And yep. Wes Wolfpack, all right there. It's tied at the top between 3, and then Wes Wolfpack here with 1 point off. This is probably one of the hottest races right now that we have out on Zwift as far as these divisions. It doesn't get any closer in this. Top 4 tied or within 1 point. This is crazy.
It doesn't get any better than this if you're a sports person, to be honest, to be in such a competitive group. And it makes sense. This is the cream of the crop, I would say. And we're going to find some big stars coming out of this group. I saw that Stephen Corbin has some fans. Harry Stevenson cheering him on out there. Nice job, Harry. Love that you're watching. Things have settled down a little bit here, Nathan. But when you look at it, even the Ruhr Riders A team, they're right in the conversation. So it's going to be an incredibly fun season. We're just getting into it. As Modding has been the rider of the year at this point. He's already picked up 55 points. And Nathan, let's quickly discuss for new viewers the difference between FAL and FTS, the first across the line versus fastest through segment, because it looks like Modding is getting it done in both categories.
Yeah, it does look like he is. So first across the line will be the first to come across the line for each of the points segments, and there's only going to be 10 points available for those first across the line. Fastest through segment is a lot more. I believe it's 20 points depending on the segment. So that's some crazy points being thrown down right now by SWM, as well as Cryogen jumping in there as well. But as you can see, SWM with those gray jerseys throwing down big points and showing that they are here to take over that top spot on the leaderboard. Now, speaking of sprinting, we actually have a little bit of nice video put together here by Liz Van Houweling, a coach in the community as well as a major player in and amongst the community racing. Yeah, she's a star in this community. Definitely want to get her tips here when it comes to sprinting and how to get better at it, since we are out on a sprinter's course today.
Hi, my name is Liz Van Houweling, and I am a cycling coach out of the Des Moines, Iowa area. And on this Coach's Corner, we are going to be talking about sprinting. Sprinting is super critical if you want to have success on Zwift. So many of the races tend to finish in pretty big bunch sprints, so we could all stand to improve our sprint a little bit. So a lot of times people think the people with the biggest 10 to 15 second watt per kilo numbers are going to win every race. And a lot of times they do, but I would also not underestimate the importance of that 1 minute power. A lot of times the last kilometer or so of the race can get pretty spicy, so being able to survive that, to hang in there, and put yourself in a good position to be able to unleash that big 10-second sprint is really important. So one of my favorite ways to work on 1 minute power is to head over to Innsbruck on the leg snapper climb and do repeats of that. So you start off with just 2 or 3 repeats with pretty good recovery. You can even do the whole Innsbrucking short lap there. And just every time you hit that climb, go all out, all the way up it, and recover and do it again. And work your way up to 4 or 5, even 6 repeats with 4 or 5 minutes recovery. Work your way so you just go up it as hard as you can, flip a U-turn, cruise back down, recover a minute, and turn around and do it again and again. And try to work so that you can eventually stand up for the entire duration of that climb. It's not that long, and a lot of times people find it easier to produce higher power in the standing position. So just working on your extended standing climbing like that should help translate into a more powerful sprint as well. So I hope you can use these tips to help you get a much improved sprint and have better finishing positions in your races. And I look forward to seeing you out on the virtual roads of Watopia. Thank you.
Really appreciate Liz putting that together. And you know, Dave, I love it that she brought in specific sections, of course, in the world of Zwift that you can go to work on something really specific to a power profile. It's something I've actually worked on, but not on a sprinting idea. I love that she brings in the Innsbruck ring leg snapper. That is obviously a section, of course, where you essentially just have to go full gas, use the terrain, and then the idea of that climb forcing you to get some force into the legs up against your sprint too. Great point there. I do Watopia reverse when it comes to my 3 to 4 minute power a lot of times. I use Watopia forward. I use Watopia mountain for 20-minute power. Great tip there coming in from Liz Van Houweling. Absolutely love it. And actually, you know what's interesting is I raced down in the Quad Cities near Iowa/Illinois border and noticed her Liz Van Houweling actually in some of the sections, some of the QOM Queen of the Mountain sections that were local down there, and you recognize, oh, she's in our broadcast this week as well. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, she was 4th at the World Championships. I would actually say she might be, we've talked about those hidden gems, undiscovered talent out there. I have a feeling if Liz wanted to, and I'm not exactly sure I'm a huge fan of hers, by the way. I just think she's such an impressive human. I'd love to see what she could do in real life out there. And yeah, we've talked about the Van Houweling connection with her and former world hour record holder Molly. And even though there's no genetic connection, there's some kind of, I don't know, great people seem to come together. It's
common aim.
It's one
common aim in the world ends up in the same places, same
yeah.
targets.
It's interesting, isn't
targets, and when you're aimed at the same targets,
Outliers.
you end up in the same areas. So I think there's something there, Dave.
Yeah. So that'll be really fun to watch. I hope we get to see a lot more from her. So this is a feature rider today, Stephen Corbin, here for Sisu Racing. Things have settled down, but Nathan, this group is significantly smaller than what we started with, and we're hitting one of the more featured sections. No doubt about it. People absolutely love their gravel, both in real life and here on Zwift, and this is another attack going clear. Nathan throwing up the points table here. We can see a lot of German flags.
Yeah, tons of German flags. Not all on the same team, though, interesting enough. But it is mainly going to be that SWM team, the Black Forest Milk team. We do see Corbin, as you did say, being an aggressor. Sisu, I saw this trying to work on Saturday. Sisu, wow, SWM covering. You do not want to let them go. As Corbin is the one that did press the pace over the top of the rooftop climb. Now it is going to be Lindahl, the Finnish rider. The SWM looking to come across. It's not going to, well, it's 2 seconds here. Innovation on the front a little bit. I think there's some riders jumping across. This may split a little bit.
Nathan, for me, the crux of this course, the absolute pinch point is right after the country sprint. That is where you can do devastation if you can organize your team. This might be what's happening right now, the setup for what's going to be dynamite out here today. There's no doubt, Nathan, when you take a look at this profile. So in real life racing, oftentimes the best time to attack is right after a sprint because riders will sit up. They hope things are going to come back together. This is even better than that. You've got the sprint, and then you've got the longest, hardest climb in the race to look forward to. After this sprint, you're basically climbing for the next 10 minutes.
Essentially, yeah, and this countryside sprint's got a lot of points up for grabs. You only go through it one time. Fastest through segment's going to be extremely important through here. Tons and tons of points. So Sisu looking to try and get a lot of FAL. It looks like just driving this right now. Interesting enough, they're spreading this out a little bit, but the kind of strength that's in this pack, I'm not sure that this tactic is going to work out for them too well. KC, along with SWM and WEZ, may get the better of them because of this tactic. Now the ramp up starting to happen here. Now the Bicycling Magazine kit, I think that is going to be the BWC. Yep, that's exactly who that is. So we were wondering who was using that kit because BL13 also uses that kit. So I was getting a little confusion there. KC, you can't go wrong recognizing them in the Bumblebee looking type kit.
I always think, Nathan, that Bicycling Magazine kit, I think Bontrager. You're a mountain biker.
It does look like the Bontrager, yeah. It's got the red around it, but yeah, it does look a lot like it.
But that's the B that you see. And there's actually a good, easiest way to find them is look at the front of the bike race right now. They're all over the front. So this is going to be, again, the moment before the explosion right now. And I think all of these riders can feel that something is coming here. We've got less than 20K of racing. It's not circuits today. It's just one crazy course. As you can see, they have raced into the sun here as the country sprint and Temple KOM are the next two features here. A lot of points out on the road today, which changes things from race one that we had, which was a standard point to point. Yeah, here we go.
Dave. They're about to ramp it right on up. SWM goes to the front. Actually, no, it's going to be Sisu with Melandra coming out of Spain now. Again, going to the front, as you can see, trying to ramp things up perhaps a little bit for his team. 6.4 watts per kilogram, 155 beats per minute. So not an attack. I think this is just looking to try and get a little bit of space here. Corbin goes early at 10.6. Martins follows it immediately from Cryogen with 12 watts per kilogram. Looks to come over to the top on the Tron bike. Blue Tron on the front now. Corbin from Sisu hanging on, but it's going to be Peffer now. May be able to come through. No, KC with Pilkington again gapping himself. WEZ might get the better of him at the line. No, Pilkington holds on, it looks like, for first across the line, I believe. And followed closely by SWM and some KC riders. Nice little sprint there between this Div 1As. Super legit. I like the lead outs there. Lots of tactics being employed, it looks like, today to try and change things up a little bit and figure out how to get away, essentially, or at least break things apart. Let's take a quick look at the replay of that before they do hit this climb. As you can see here, Pilkington, I think he just held on there. Crowden were involved. Bailey, actually, just noticing. And you know what's funny? Bailey was in the race this weekend with me. He was one of the riders that I was trying to crack the whip on after I got my Strava profile title is Bamboozled by My Frenemies, because I'm friends with everybody who was off the front who totally got the better of me because I thought they were going to come back. So it was
with friends like these, right?
Well, Brett Boniface tricked me, completely tricked me. Oh man, we'll see if there's any tricks today. As these two continue to do what they do, they just want to make it difficult. They do not want to make this an easy race.
favorite thing about racing is the mental aspect. You know, that's what makes it more than just as we said, an exercise competition. So that sprint, Nathan, I was thinking we might have a Pedrosa situation. You have to go back and look at the API to see exactly how that scores. Those points will be tallied at WTRL's world headquarters. And just as I was thinking that, I see Dan in the chat talking about BL13. And I learn from our community every day. And I guess BL13 now has their own kit in game. They've earned that.
Well, we're going to have to find it. That's
But I think that's
amazing.
extreme. That speaks to stick-to-itiveness and how these teams are rewarded, whether it's the ZRL Champions helmet. Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you, Dan.
Speaking of Pedrosa,
Dan,
he was part of the bamboozling, just so you know, this weekend,
Not
too.
surprised.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it, buddy. No, I'm just kidding. Great job to you guys this weekend.
he's on the OMG team. Oh my
Yeah.
God, they killed Kenny team that races later tonight. They've been really, really strong, and they're gonna love the opportunities of racing out here. Certainly, we want to talk about 5K heroes, Nathan. Please put this man's name in the mix as
Right?
Stephen Corp. I mean, unbelievable out here. But Sisu's been racing like two teams so aggressive. You're right, though. Your earlier comment, I agree with. It hasn't necessarily paid off, but it speaks to spirit. It speaks to esprit de corps that they've got on Sisu, and I get it. You know, they're trying to make the race out here, and this is when such a strong field, Nathan. The tactics go to another level, and that's where we're at. 25 minutes of racing already underway. Road to Ruins, Chasing the Sun
Yeah,
is the course today.
Sun.
Yeah.
That's the wrong one, 100%. Let's see if we can bring in the. Why did Road to Ruins come up there? I have no idea.
It was a test for me, right? See if I'd buy in on anything. We've changed the course halfway through. The riders would.
It was.
Now,
Just a
that
test
would
for
be.
you.
I don't know if you've ever heard, Nathan, as we have a moment here with Stephen Corbin of Sisu opening up a gap, and you can see he's getting a reaction on the velodrome. Nathan, there's a race called the Race of Unknown Distance. So you get on your bikes, everyone starts doing laps, and they will ring the bell at, I think it's 2 laps to go. So you don't know how long the race is. Would that be crazy?
That's all I was doing, Dave. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing. We'll just go with that. No, here's Chasing the Sun. And I just wanted to give everybody an idea where we're at. As you can see, we're at that just 20-kilometer point. So that means there's going to be a left-hand turn here in just a moment. If any bike swaps will be coming up, it will be at the bottom of that climb. And this climb is essentially at the pace that these boys will be doing it, probably about 5 to 6 minutes. Oh, man, we're going to see what happens here.
Here we go.
This is going to be interesting.
So I'm going to guess that nobody does because it's the A's and this is the fastest of the fast. So to do this bike swap, you've got to be Houdini and Hercules at the same time. You were saying, though, with all due respect, that you saw it work earlier. And that
it worked.
A lot.
See, I don't know. I don't know if it worked as in what happened wouldn't have happened, but I know that Mutant showed up at Electric Spirit Co. this weekend, or Company Co. this weekend, for their appetizer race and of this course. It didn't have the sprints, right? It didn't have it was just a first across the line scratch race at the end, but they showed up with one rider on a gravel bike from the start, and he held on to this point. And as soon as we hit the dirt, he went to the front at 6.6 to 6.5 watts per kilogram, and we all just blew up. And him and 3 guys who hung onto his wheel went over the top with about 3 seconds. But then the downhill on that gravel bike, they were able to draft on somebody traveling way faster than everybody else. They got a solid 8-second gap, and they held it to the line. So it was a tough one. Now, there weren't a lot of chasers, though. The group was so split up, so we'll see how much this splits, too. Now we're looking. He's got 9 seconds, Dave.
So that would be the thing, people saying, oh, is he building up a gap to be able to change? I don't think so. If he's going to, Nathan, he's going to do it now. And so he's racing his bike, old school throwdown, pressing on. So, yeah, we don't have a double-blind certified lab study, right? There's we'd have to do a lot more looking at it to see.
You don't think I do certified lab studies, Dave?
Double-blind. Right.
Double-blind,
yeah. So these guys, Nathan, don't look to be panicking, nor should they be. this is a group of very confident racers. These guys show up at this A level. Oh, we should talk about the power ups. I know Cy did. We've got the Arrow, the Draft, and the Ghost out here. Seeing, the Draft. That's the van that you see. I look at that, Nathan, as a bit of a defensive power up. In that, that's more like something I would save possibly to use after I went for one of the bonus sprints or fastest through segments, so that I don't get dropped right after. So make a huge effort and then have a little bit of a safety net, a backstop, if you will, using that draft.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there 100% that when it comes to the drafting power up, I would call it a defensive power up rather than an offensive power up. Now, your defensive power up can turn into an offense by using it in a way that drafts on someone and then comes over the top of them. But it is most definitely a power up that mitigates someone's offense against you. Now, we do see this is where things are going to split. You get about 1 minute, minute and a half into this climb, and things just go bonkers. They start hitting these little uphill gradients with the, what really hurts here, Dave, is these little reprieves in the gradient actually make it so fast at sections where the bikes just start to roll away from you and you're not in that draft any longer. The consistency of a climb sometimes is your friend more so than the little downhill where somebody carries speed through jumps and you can't hold that speed. You can't jump. You can just set it at that high pace right now, but you might not be able to go with that big jump in speed that gets a huge gap. Corbin, look at this. That's what 4 seconds looks like, Dave. That's what 4 seconds on this climb looks like. That's how difficult this climb is.
Yeah, you could reference the Colombian style of racing, jumpy like a cricket and constantly attacking and forcing riders out of their comfort zone versus the steady diesel engine type rider that just likes to go at a pace like a TJ Van Garderen used to do and not respond to every little jab and just keep doing what you do. This is he's still holding on. The problem is you've got Modding here, who's an exceptional talent, putting 6.3 watts per kilo out with a group here that is extremely elite. I have a feeling we reset here before we get to 23K in, going back and looking at the chase, and it looks like the prey is going to be brought back into the flow, but that's not it for Stephen Corbin out here today. The Welsh rider has been exceptional. So we were talking about the 5K hero. That's a new feature that we've got here for season 3 of 2022, and it's something that we've really enjoyed is the race maker who's been out here, and this guy has been making the race without any doubt. This is what McCurry Island, so popular. This world is absolutely stunning. And these new features, there's more and more gravel out in the world of Zwift. And I tell you what, people are gobbling it up as this man continues to press on. So Nathan, he keeps the pace high here. That gap, when it was at 4 seconds, typically that's when you see riders throw in the towel, but not our man, Stephen Corbin, as that's the Welsh spirit here, pressing on. I thought he'd be brought back.
This guy is insane. He can do 6.1 watts per kilogram for 20 minutes, it looks like. So I think he's well within himself still. It's according to Zwift Power here right now. So, this guy is...
So this is for Temple KOM.
Class. This is. And, I think he went off the front to hold this. And then from there, get caught and be within himself. Went off the front, hold this steady pace that he knows he can hold, and then have some reserves left still once he actually comes over once he gets closer to the top for that sprint. Ariel here from Spain here trying to come over the top, it looks like, to try and close this down for the WZ team, but he's up in that 181 beats per minute still.
Yeah, he's definitely forcing the chase out of its comfort zone, that's a play in and of itself, and is the sword fight that is this race, and he doesn't have that much farther to go. If he can hang on and get top points up here, this is a surge coming from Sisu now, man, these guys are digging deep. What an effort. Nathan, Sisu, and Fuego out here today as they go up and over the top. This is going to be P. Malandra that we're looking at now in this beautiful white and blue Sisu kit here.
And Malandra with one last kick to the line. Up in the RPMs here, it looks like. Walter from SWM with the power-up. WEZ with the reel now looking to come across, but it is going to be Malandra that's going to be able to be the first across the line to take this out. Nice little kick from him. Walter now.
His teammates set him up. That was
He
really
did.
well done.
Yeah, good call.
Um,
Real did set him up. Excuse me, not as Real. It was
Corbin.
that did set him up there, actually. As Sisu, go ahead and take that down. Nice call there, Dave. As Corbin created that chase situation, and Melandra could just sit in and then come over the top as WEZ were forced to chase.
That's tactically beautiful, isn't it, Nathan? I mean, when you see that is how you do it, folks. That's a clinic right there. Sisu, new kit. They didn't need any motivation. They were already hyper motivated. But man, Sisu seems like they've really, I don't know, got some good energy right now. Big watt energy.
Team versus teams here at this point. WZ are involved at the front. Cryogen are no longer here. When we're talking about the series at this point, Sisu were on the back foot a little bit as we were coming into this race. As we do look at the, can we take a look at the standings right now? Looking through Sisu way down the list actually here. It looks like down at 25 points. So this is going to be a big jump for them if they can win this one outright. SWM, they are involved in this break, so they are here and they're going to get a good amount of points here. Kirchner are not here. Cryogen are not here. Wes only with one rider involved. So this is a 2v2, v1 at this point. And with this gap and the number of riders in this chase, they're going to have to work pretty hard. From my experience on this course, definitely get the feeling that people can underestimate how easily you can stay away. Well, maybe not easily, but it is not like a lot of other courses where you just trust the pack to come in because it gets so splintered over the top of this climb. You don't usually have that many bodies to try and roller coaster or kind of get that snowball effect going on. And that may be exactly what we're seeing here.
And the dynamics are different on the gravel, too, when you're descending. You don't go as fast, and you don't see the packs anywhere near as large. It thins out much more. You're 100% right. This is, they say fortune favors the brave. This would be where it even add a little extra to that. This is perfect for a group like this. So you start looking at the makeup here, Nathan, of everybody in this front group. You know, for Sisu, they're going to climb the table today. Sitting in ninth right now, I have a feeling that we see them moving into. See, that's the well, it's going to be interesting. Can they move into the top 5? Maybe, actually. That probably would be right at the threshold. 5 or 6.
I mean, the thing is that you win on the day. Let's say they win today, right? They'll get 20 points, right? They get. But
if Schwarzwald Milk gets 19. You didn't really get much difference.
Exactly.
There, did you?
Yeah. So it's going to be a tough climb, I think, throughout the season with how far behind they currently are. I really think it's going to be a tough climb, but they may be able to compete for a podium still if some of these other teams really fall out throughout. But I don't think they're going to get into podium contention. They will jump above, I think, all of the teams around them, though. They could take out Rue Riders or even Kirchner Brave Bees, perhaps. But I don't think they're going to jump into that tie game that we're looking at between WEZ and the rest of the top 3 with Cryogen, Kirchner, and SWM at this point. The chase is on from Halonen. Actually, no, they're kind of chilling out because I think they're trusting this is going to come back. As I'm not seeing the orange number jumps that you usually see when people are trying to stay away. Are these guys working together? What's happening here? Melandra on the front. Malding's here as well. So it looks like, they are going to start working together, but only at the 5 watts per kilogram. I'm surprised that they're not jumping into Super Tux, though.
One of the ingredients that's imperative in making a breakaway work is complete commitment from all of the riders on the Zwift platform, for sure. You got strong riders here, but they're all giving 87%. And that's not going to be enough right now. The gap is holding at 10 seconds, but we still have, let's call it 7.5K of racing remaining. It's almost completely flat. Basically, there's one little kicker that they get, a couple K from the finish, but basically flat from here on in as we look back on the chase. I'm surprised to see that it's not coming down quicker, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, 10 seconds holding steady, and this is almost like a replay of what I saw on Saturday. They had a solid 8 to 10 seconds, and eventually it just held all the way to the line. This isn't going to be a sprint point. They're just going to be collecting power-ups that they want. We did see a feather being used, it looked like, by Walter, I believe, there. He didn't want that. Now a drafting power up being used here really quickly. That's interesting, not wanting the feather. I feel like the feather is the best thing you could have today if you're going to come into a sprint situation, but instead, maybe one of these riders are wanting a 30-second draft. Yeah, I could see that.
If you timed your sprint really well and could use the draft as you picked up speed through the group, but that also means it certainly wouldn't make much difference. Well, yeah, it's tough. None of the power-ups are exceptional. I think the Ghost is pretty clearly the one that is the low-impact player, low energy. The Ghost is not really going to help you that much out here today. But that's the thing about the power-ups. It's a mixed bag.
Wanted to highlight real quickly here, we did have a conversation about the new kit in-game from BL13, and they will, I think, feature today at some point. And so I just wanted to highlight, if you are looking out, I love that Zwift are able to get these into game, and you have to watch out for these boys today. One of the most well-known tactically teams that are out there, and it's great to see them off of the Bicycling Magazine kit and onto their own after they did earn that in game. Very cool to see. And
remember that race last season? It was the Legion of LA Crit Series. That was one of the most well orchestrated. Absolute. If you could orchestrate a jailbreak, which I guess you do, seems like two different worlds with those words, jail and orchestra. But orchestrating a jailbreak, they did, and I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again, or if we'd ever seen anything like that really before. So this breakaway, Nathan, I'm starting to rate their chances a little bit higher now, as they're down to just about 5K to go, and they're throwing a little more coal on the fire here. The gap is sitting at 13 seconds now. Color me surprised.
Yeah.
Just such a strong group.
I think they have a lot of willingness here, and when you have a group behind that maybe has a little bit of infighting going on, I mean, we have Schrager here, he's not having any interest. He's not going to chase. I'm not sure Henderson is going to chase either because he's from WEZ. Halonen, though, is chasing. So maybe the WEZ do want to bring this back. And that would make sense, wouldn't it, Dave? To get as many as you can into the top
one team
podium spots, right?
Yeah, I agree. They seem to be the team that I guess has the most reason to commit to this chase. 5K to go out here. This is World Elite Zwifters that we're talking about. Yeah, interesting. That's the blue kit. Actually, there's a lot of blue there. It looks like we're over
to 5K to go. I just wanted to, before we head into our 5K to go hero, just wanted to highlight the women's race. They are about to take off. As you can see, I think it's about 3 minutes to the start of their race as they are hanging out in the pens. Some of the best women in the world when it comes to Zwift racing. So great to see the ladies getting warmed up, and it's going to be just like from the get-go in the men's race, sprints from the start. So we'll jump back in with them in just a moment. But it is that time, 5K to go, 5K to go. We got a sprint as well as the final across the line, and I am going to give it to Corbin, our man here. He definitely was the instigator throughout the day. From the get-go, Sisu Racing and Corbin were on the attack, making things happen, and I really think earned what, even if he doesn't win the race outright today, he set things up over the top of the Temple QOM Climb over and over again, has been completely on the attack. Great job to Stephen Corbin from Sisu Racing, the Welshman, getting our 5K to go hero award. We will do that across all of the races out here today. So if you are looking to be the 5K to go hero, the hero of the day, Dave, you want to give a little explanation? This was Dave's awesome, actually, addition to the broadcast here.
Yeah, what we decided was there's been races where we've seen some real animation and some heroic efforts where there's no reward at the finish other than pride and certainly amongst your team respect. But we wanted to highlight those riders. And certainly this is a great example. Actually, what's been surprising is a good number. We always pick our 5K to go hero at 5K to go. I'd say 50% of the time, the number's got to go down. I think there's a little beginner's luck here, Nathan, because our 5K to go hero has been winning the race outright a fair amount. So we'll see if Stephen Corbin can keep that tradition going. He's got some tough riders to beat in this group. This is a real selection that we're looking at. And again, I'm assuming that they're going to make it to the line. They're at 3K to go at this point. They are going to make it to the line, though, Nathan. 15 seconds in the bank now. So it's going to be one of these men by my estimation. But I think that explains the 5K hero. He's the race, or she is the race maker up to this point. It doesn't mean they can't double down and win.
Yeah, and actually our 5K to go hero in the first race was Mauding, and he's here with them. So obviously some of the strongest do make it.
And he
We
won.
head into the next sprint point now, Dave. First across the line up for grabs. Fast through segment. Not sure anyone's going to grab it here, but Walter now over the top. Yeah, exactly, and he did win. He was one of the people who did win. Walter here now. Ghost Power Up being used here by Melandra. No, it's not Melandra. Excuse me. Melandra actually has the draft. Ghost here from Mountain, but I think he's coming through a little bit late. He'll get second there. Oh, sneaky. Nobody knew he was there even. Somebody thought they were getting third, and it wasn't happening. Liking it. They've got 19 seconds over the top of the chase here at this point with about 2K to go. Not sure they're being caught, Dave. Elijah just continues on. Just continues on.
It must mean monster in Spanish. I'm going to have to look it up, but this is unbelievable, this Sisu effort here. It's just been body blow after body blow from these guys. And I think that I'm wondering what happened in the first couple of weeks for this team, for them to be so strong and absolutely animating and dictating this race. But here comes Ariel and the counterattack going over the top. Corbin is going to try to cover. The Welsh rider is going to try to get up on this wheel. And the way things have been going for Sisu, it looks like he will as they're rapidly coming up on the finish line. That was the Tower sprint reverse that we just scored. And now the final points are waiting at the finish line. And this is where there's a massive pile of points, and it just goes back and forth now. As you can see, everybody keeping their head above water in this group. Nathan, we're rapidly coming up on the red kite, the Flamme Rouge. 1K to go here in just a few seconds. They're almost spread out across the road now, but they stay on the gas. They can't afford to sit up and start playing cat and mouse, even though they've got 22, make it 23 seconds. So your top 5 are on your screen right now. It's up to them to sort this order out.
Looks like Mari now to the front. No, Melandra continues on 5 watts per kilogram or so. 1K to go, 1K to go in just a moment here. Just going to take this left-hand turn. Things calming down, it looks like, as the initial attacks are over. The women just getting into their first sprint. We will get a replay of that for those that are concerned. I do know a lot are like, wait a second, what's happening over here with the ladies? But we've got 2 races playing out in front of us. As these boys now are starting to play a little bit of cat and mouse, it looks like, rather than just an all-out attrition to the line.
I think the group behind them is playing cat and mouse too then, because the gap has gone up to 30 seconds. So it looks like everybody realizes what they're racing for at this point, which takes a lot of pressure off. Sisu can't lose here now. With 2 in the top 5 and all the points they've picked up along the way, I think that they're going to pick up that 20 points for the first place team here. Let's see. They certainly want to ensure that, though, and see what they can do. And obviously, there's going to be the glory of posting up a big, big win on a real challenging day of racing. This is what Chasing the Sun is all about. We're back into the night, coming up on a few hundred meters to go, and it looks like it's going to be Ariel who leads this out.
It's within sight, Dave, but there's an arrow power up here coming from Melandra trying to come over to the top and mouthing 16 watts per kilogram. SWM going to do it again. Walks away from this one easily. Corbin trying to come across, but Sisu going to have to settle for second. Not sure what happened across the line there for third. Nice job to Mouting. Again, that's his second race win in this season number 3 of 2022. Nice job to SWM, and I think they may be taking over at the top, I think, when it comes to this series overall. Jumping back in with the ladies, they are 1.8 kilometers into the race. There was an awesome sprint, actually, that just played out just a moment ago. We'll jump back and take a look at that as the ladies really ramped it up in the first K or so for those points. Let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, some of our favorites here, Sammy Stewart, Tennille Irish involved, but I'm not sure who actually ended up taking this out as it does ramp up through this market area. Stewart on the front. kicking. Tennille Irish is right there with her now. They still have about 200 meters or so to the line. It looks like Tennille's avatar sitting down as the pace maybe a little bit too high to the line as they chase her down. Over the top, it is going to be Walkenhorst from KC trying to come through. Zedson and Hurd are right there as well. Does Stewart hold on? Beta, she doesn't. It looks like maybe. We'll have to look at the points at the end of the day, but that's your breakthrough rider of the season when amongst the women you've been talking about over and over again, Dave. Stewart, it looks like for Coalition, making things happen.
Yeah, this team has so much talent. Canyon Beta, we're talking about, and Sammy Stewart here out of the United Kingdom. Philippa Draper, Noosh Greenway also, and Mikey van der Plas is a Dutch rider I'd certainly be watching for. And you're going to hear that Polish rider name, Agata Filis, quite a bit. Kimberly Riedman rounding out that team. So it's we'll take a look at the points that have got us to this point. Got to give Mark Mouting credit for brilliant win there. And that's a good example of why we love the 5K hero as well. It helps us recognize that Stephen had a fantastic ride today as well. So Stephen Corbin, I'm talking about on Sisu. So now focusing on the women, a very competitive group that we've got here. And it's funny to hear the name Tennille Irish. Nathan, I don't think we've done a broadcast without Tennille being involved over the last couple of months. She has really been getting after it. So impressive, her dedication. Super strong member of our Zwift community. Jessica McWhirter is out racing. I love what Jessica's all about. She's a rider here in Colorado and has got a fantastic attitude. Is just getting back into racing again. You know, everybody went through COVID and coming back out of that. She got on a podium racing here just a couple of weeks ago. Extremely cool to see that. The ethics and the work load that these people take on is so impressive. Coralie Arthur, there's a star in the making. The Scottish rider, Nathan, in this group. This field has so many familiar riders. It feels like we're back home again with Zwift community, as Aeonian is our top team, and they're on a run. 40 points. That means they've won both our team time trial and our first race of the season. This is obviously race number 3 of 2022 season. Beast mode, no surprise to see these ladies here. They are extremely competitive. Sitting in second right now, 37 points for Beast Mode, presented by Rose Canyon Esports Beta. That's the team we opened the broadcast talking about. The squad of Sammy Stewart, 34 points, as they're tied with Wahoo Lacole. It's Herd Z-Sun, Z-Sun, 31 points, sitting in 5th. And then we've got Avis Lacole, SZ, Swedish Swifters, in 7th, Ravon 8th, Revo in 9th, and Coalition Rhapsody sitting back in 10th. An attack here, though. It's Battersby. Very early in the race.
It's going to be Fleece, Stewart and Fleece across the line there for Beta. Actually, maybe going 1, 2, and
1, 2, 3
for the sprint out here.
Yikes.
Nice job. Let's see if we can get a replay of that, though, to make sure I got that right, because it looked really close again. But what a kick there coming on through from Stewart. Now, it was WLC trying to make something happen early on in that sprint there. And I thought Battersby was going to do it. She had the aero power, but look at the speed coming through from Fleece and Stewart.
The timing.
Whoo! And I think even at the line, was it going to be? Is that Battersby holding? No. Vanderplas is, I think, maybe at the line they're able to do something and hold on. I mean,
that'll go to the 8th guy. But I think you're right, Nathan. I think you nailed it. That's phenomenal there. Picking up all of the early points.
1, 2, 3. That's huge for Canyon Beta. Now, the question is, though, Dave, have they been showing where their matches really are? Because they know once it hits Kappa time, it's off the back time, perhaps, for Coalition. We'll have to wait and see.
And after all of that, look at Aeonian. They are not behind the 8 ball, as they say. They were right there. So if we give the first 3 spots to Canyon, Aeonian might have had 4 of the next 5 spots as they rolled through. Battle Royale, folks. I mean, this is going to be as good as it gets here today. Battersby, Wahoo Lacole. So that's a team that's right there threatening. Aeonian, our leading squad. We'll help you identify the jerseys here. Right now, I see Aeonian there with the green sleeves, the dark blue back, and then the purple pocket area of the jersey. That's our top team so far, and certainly a squad to keep an eye on. Sprint points and fastest. So first across the line points, that's what I'd call our sprint, and then fastest through segment. The other points there, it looks like Sammy Stewart's off to a great start, but a couple finish flags here. Eck and Vanjopa with Valkenhorst right between them of the Kirkmeyer team.
Now look at this. Start. We saw this in the first race on the Road to Ruins, actually. Julie Chalet on the front here from Avis Lacole. She was our 5K to go hero in that first race because she was non-stop, attack after attack after attack. She made the race what it was. It split things up. She was off the front almost to the very finish of the race here. And now Avis Lacole being... And I think what she wants to do, because Avis Lacole in the standings currently is not, I think, being represented, they're not representative of the kind of efforts perhaps you'd see in a traditional scratch race situation where your rider wins, right? It's a team point situation, so they're a little bit further down in sixth place currently. And I think them knowing that they have those standout talent, they want to just split things up as much as they possibly can to not allow some of these other teams to be involved, to give them their best chances later on in the race to just get as many points as they can.
Interesting thought there, and certainly speaks to the tactics and the level that we're at. I would have to say that Chalet, the German rider on Avis, though, has been the breakthrough rider of the season. We talked about some of the big names, and I saw Kristen Yax as well, Aeonian rider. She's become one of the stars of esports, without a doubt. But Julie, tremendous talent. You'll see her off the front again, being covered by the old guard. Now, Argentinian rider Barbara Frisch, I shouldn't say old, but an OG racer. Barbara's been an animator in this world for a few years now. I should say she was here long before I showed up. That's a fact. Aeonian, though, Nathan, it looks like we're starting to see some real action right now here. A good mix of teams, but I get the feeling we should talk about the course. Not everyone's been with us through the men's race, but we've got the railway sprint coming up. And the alley sprint there earlier, then they start moving into the countryside world.
Yeah, and as they do come over the top of this climb here, we do see Denman from Zedson Herd.
No points, I should say.
Yeah, no points over the top here. Yeah, no points over the... Good call there, Dave. Good call. It's a lot of people might be thinking, oh, why aren't they going for this all in? But there are no points over the top, keeping a little bit more chill. Only the KOM. I think it's because saving it up... I mean, that would... what do you feel about that, Dave? Like, should they have put points at the top of here to just make it even that much more difficult to just completely blow things apart?
That's a great question. I would say enough is enough. Especially with the alley sprint that comes within the first few minutes of the race. It makes for, we were talking during the men's race earlier, how this is kind of old school as far as the brutally fast start. And I guess you can't really go out any harder, can you? I mean, there's only full gas. There's not full gas and a little bit. And definitely right now, I think that this is not full gas because the riders realize there's no prize at the top of this climb. No reason to burn a match when you don't need to. So trying to, I guess I'd call it active recovery.
Angela Pitzer has been dropped, Dave. Was there a dropout?
There must have been. I haven't seen Angela racing over the last month or so, but one of a former U.S. national champion, all-around great person. And again, the body of work tells me this is a big surprise. So
it is. I'm surprised, especially, I mean, it wasn't like they went crazy over the top. It was just a sprint situation. Maybe there was just a moment of inattention because the speeds get so high and you just kind of trust that you're going to be in and amongst the pack. I mean, those sprints were pretty high speed. And now off the back, 180 beats per minute at this moment is telling me that there may have been a dropout if she's still trying to press on. 20 seconds now. That's a huge gap. It's going to be really difficult to bring this back. Who's still involved here, Dave, is going to be the question. WLC only with Coralie Arthur on there. Kristen Yax from Aeonian looks like the only other racer with points for Aeonian. WLC with Coralie Arthur. I mean, we've got some new teams, it looks like, starting to put themselves on the map here a little bit. Vainopa is there, it looks like, the Finnish rider from Avis Lacole. I mean, good on them. They're getting involved. Eck there coming in from the Herd, Zedson Herd team. Coalition obviously dominating this board right now in KC. But Aeonian, our leading team, as well as our second place team, Rose Beastmo, Beastmo presented by Rose, not there, really. And it's Canyon who are making their mark right now.
Canyon has had a fantastic start to this race. 35K out here. This race is like a Hollywood feature. It just has hit after hit, or exciting moment with so many things to look forward to as far as sprints go and climbing goes. The country sprint is, we've talked about this earlier, that's the crux of this race, and you'll see things really change. If there's a bike change happening, and we've heard rumors of some riders, you never really know. And they might even change their mind in game as far as how the temptation, I should say, of changing bikes out here. But the problem with changing bikes, too, is that you have to change back on a course like this, I would think, Nathan, to be competitive in the finale here. That gravel bike, oh my gosh, it could be worth as much as 20 seconds. I would say even maybe a little more than that, the advantage you're going to have on this long, hard gravel climb. But if things don't go your way in the change, it's such a fine line.
It is. We did see some changes actually in, as you can see, we are just getting the in the lower left.
Yeah, what is your thought on that?
You know,
I'm curious.
It's tough. It's it's a really tough. If you're going just for the KOM, I could see it being pretty justified actually. If that's all you care about, right, on the day, is I just want the KOM points for my team, I could see that being a tactic that you could employ because then, but you need to really, it's all chips in at that point. There is no holding back. You are doing your best 5 to 6 minute power over the top of this climb on that bike, and you are catching that pack, and you are not getting beat to the line no matter what. And this is a finish line sprint situation. That's what I would go for if I were going to go ahead and try that. Since it is a team game, you then put your best climber on a gravel bike and you go. But you better make that swap quick and be at the right time and everything. I mean, it's such a risk, but Cy actually came into the channel. Thanks a lot, Cy Bradley, coming on in. Appreciate all that you do for the channel, the community as well. He did do our pre-race look at the course for us. Head on over to his YouTube channel to check it out. He says that he's going to make a swap actually. He's been working on it.
Show off.
Yeah, he says he's making it in EMEA, no show off. He's been sharpening the tools and going to attempt super slick change tonight in EMEA North A2. My first racing bike change. So, and he says pray for Cy with an E in there. So instead of
he's a great guy. I'm a huge fan of his work. A tremendous asset to the community. And we were joking earlier about Cy doing a 12-second change. Don't come at him. He sounds like he's got it under 10 seconds now. So we'll see if any of the women do. That's coming up in a few K from now, that the sector where they would make that change if they choose to. I'm not anticipating that they do in this group. We didn't see any of that in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa men's A's, but you never do know. One sign to look for is a rider building up a gap before that the changing moment. Typically, they like to put about 10 seconds at a minimum into the bank before they make that change, so they don't have such a long chase back.
Really calmed down here at this point, actually, it looks like, as they've got a ways to go on over toward the countryside sprint. That is going to be the next section, of course. The men's race that we will be covering next is going to be the South, actually. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. One of the divisions that we have not broadcasted as of yet, so we're happy to jump on in with the EMEA Mixed Men's South for Chasing the Sun today. 1 lap, 35 kilometers. It looks like Avis Lacole does have a men's team actually over there for their esports team. Dutch Racing, DZR, England, CC, the KISS Racing team are going to be in there with some really old school racers that have been a part of this whole crew and community for a long time. OTR Racing are there as well. Noah Balk is going to be in there, Dave.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
man, this is going to be an interesting one. Restart is in there, SD, ART. So really good racing coming at you for the men's South in just a little bit. On the women's side of things, for what we're watching right now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these ladies and what their history is for the women's EMEA Central as these ladies get their way on over to the countryside sprint. They do need to leave, as you do see this tunnel, and head on over to the more mystical side. And what would you call this? This is like heading from
Natural
modern,
side.
super futuristic area to like ancient. It's not quite dinosaur.
Oh, it's like going from Blade Runner to Samurai.
There we go.
Kind of. Yep.
There we go. I feel like
I like this world more. It's so much more peaceful.
what's going on the left-hand side of this? Do you see these guys on the left-hand side over here? Somebody's like jumping up and down. Is that a dog? There's a dog jumping up and down in the back of that truck over there.
Looks like they're just taking some felled logs, some firewood.
For
I
the
hope.
Kappa. That's what's going on there.
Well, he's in the wrong place. So
Julie Chalet has done 4.6 watts per kilogram for the duration of this race so far. If we look at those who have sat in and have been reserving as much as they can and have made the lead group, that's going to be the other question. We have a total of 37 ladies in the lead group here at this point. The lowest watts per kilogram is going to be about a 3.4. And you know who that is, Dave? Cora Lee Arthur.
Is good.
3.4 watts per kilogram. She's been hanging out in some of the broadcasts and watching the first person point of view. I'm wondering if she's using number 3 right now. That would be my question. Laura Vanopa as well. Vanopa there has at 3.4. So we've got some.
So this is
cagey
sort of
riders.
this number that we're talking about is kind of the equivalent of gas mileage, right? Where it's like, a rider like Cora Lee is getting 72 miles per gallon, while some of the other riders out here are getting 40 miles per gallon, right? So she's just that much more efficient.
2 watts per kilogram higher from a rider is a huge amount of work so far.
It is an
amount of work.
It's interesting, isn't it, Nathan, where it's impressive and sad at the same time, right? Because it's like, wow, does she have capacity to do work? But also, she's doing more work than all the other riders in this group. So is she at an advantage or a disadvantage? You tell me. That's bike racing. You just really don't know. A rider whose name has been popping up a lot is Deborah Dudas. Nathan, have you noticed that? I'm starting to pick up on this Team Rave rider out here. Very, very impressed.
Yeah, Deborah Dudas there. She's done about 3.9 so far as they head out.
Level 50.
Level 50.
Level 50 Zwifter. So she's got a lot of experience.
Looking to see, she took, looks like she did get, is that going to be, we did a TTT last week, so that's not going to count. She took 47th, though, in the last one. We'll see if she has a little bit better result out here today, I think. 'Cause
I have a feeling
this front group. So perhaps Rave have been doing a little bit more homework, you think, this week?
I think they might have found a diamond in the rough with her, to tell you the truth. Again, time will tell. That's the Ukrainian flag. Her name actually just popped up on the screen. She's been sitting nicely tucked into the group here, following the Kate Bates School of Bike Racing, not doing any more work than is necessary. So we take a look at our select group here coming up on the middle point of the race. But I think really what's significant now, Nathan, is the country sprint We're going to see this animating quite a bit here over the next couple K, moving into a new phase of the race any second now.
Yeah, I think we're only about 3K or so away from the countryside sprint here in just a moment. Watch out for Irish. I think she's sitting in and waiting for that. I don't think she really is going to be digging the climb. I think a lot of the riders here that are all in for the sprints are saving everything for this because they know this is their last chance for points for their team out here. So this countryside sprint is a very huge crux point in how this is going to play out for the series and for this day today. Whether or not you grab these countryside sprints is whether or not you played your role for your team today. So I think there's a lot of jitters right now in this pack.
I completely agree with that, Nathan. If we talk about having a designated assignment for the race, this is one for quite a few riders, and here we go. I think we're going to see a flurry of attacks coming out of this group. There's Yax moving up, expecting her to be part of this conversation. Kegs from Swedish Zwifters, that's a big talent. She's got a nasty kick, no doubt about it. So this is going to be BBB. Good to see this team out here. Claire Stringer-Phillips, Janie Holm, Jill Otley, Karen Utram, Michelle Curie, and Teresa Daviette. Here we go.
Up. Beast mode now. I'm going to try to make a move here. Looks like with an arrow power up. Is it going to be Rose Beast mode? Coralie Arthur over the top, doing her job, and she does. Arthur does what WLC does. Battersby is right there as well. Beast mode, hold on. It looks like just barely. Is that going to be, all I have is a K there. Miller. It's going to be Miller. Excuse me. Sorry. Coming from beast mode. As I'm getting
Kimberly Miller.
Thank
you got
Dave.
it.
Yeah,
Good job.
Kimberly Miller coming on through. Then she takes second, I think. Battersby from WLC for third. Look at this damage, though, Dave. Just from that. But Cora Lee getting her job done because I think Cora knows what's coming up.
Remember, Nathan, I was talking about the defensive use of the van, the drafting power-up? That would be right now, right? Where after that sprint, if you want to give yourself a little bit of a backstop, a little bit of protection, boy, that's a great time to use it. So that's nice to see Cora Lee getting it done. I really see her as a huge star in the future. I can't wait to see what she does in real life. I know there's cycling fever in the United Kingdom, but Scotland has got a lot to look forward to, including the first ever. Have you heard about this yet, Nathan? The World Championships where they're going to combine all of the disciplines: velodrome, track racing, mountain bike racing, downhill, cross country, all the different disciplines, and road racing. The only thing that won't be at that Worlds would be cyclocross.
Well,
that's
going
to be
have to get
like
snowmaking machines, right, or something like.
Right.
If you're gonna add cyclocross, cyclocross worlds are at such a different time, and esport world championships won't be there as well, right? So.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, that's probably true.
Because cyclocross and esport worlds happen right at the same time, pretty much, and so I think that calendar year is the reason why. Because otherwise, you can have that September, August time. That's all fine for every other discipline. But for that's really cool, though. I love that. Talk about bringing everybody together in the cycling world. Amazing idea that's coming through there from the UCI.
I love it. I can't wait. I'm going to go to Scotland for sure. I've never been. Something to really look forward to.
Teresa,
all right, well,
coming through. Dang, Irish even faster than the first time. As there's some in-game.
Tennille's a super popular racer, isn't she? It just seems like she's got an energy to her that people respond to.
I mean, in the.
I do.
Sherry Bird Townsend saying, agree, Tennille is a great community member. Go Tennille. She's getting comments in the chat as well. So
Sherry is one to speak. Sherry, speaking of World Championships, saw her over at the Worlds in Belgium. She has been running a program called North Star Development for junior riders out of Minnesota and I think Wisconsin too. But either way, kids from that part of the country benefit so greatly from her and Charlie Townsend, and giving back to the sport is something that makes my heart proud and does a heart good is a nice way to put it. So Sherry, keep up the good work out there. This group of women is just world class.
And as you see here on the upper right, you are about to see them go over a little bridge, and then it's going to be a left-hand turn after a fishing village.
Is this the
on
Kappa
in.
Bridge?
No, and the Kappa Bridge is way
No,
up at
that's
the
a little
top of the
further.
climb. Way up
That's
at
on the
top of
dirt
climb.
road, isn't it? Right. Do you want to explain what the Kappa is? Or are you going to let me do that, Nathan?
Teppo just said another day, another Zwift crash. Is that actually Teppo? It is Teppo that had the crash.
Oh, is that for Vanopa that he's talking about?
No, she's still here. She's still here. So I think he was in his own race. And
Oh, boy.
Sorry to hear, Teppo. Sorry to hear.
Sorry, Teppo.
As he's hanging
He knows
out
we're
in
big
chat.
fans of his.
Huge
So
fans. So WLC.
he's looking for a virtual hug.
He
needs a hug.
Whoa, we got riders coming back.
Good for them.
They've been chilling out. It looks like a little too much. What's happening here?
How about an attack right through the group?
They
literally riding through the group.
It was Julie, of course.
Is that Shalau?
Yeah, just goes
I'm sorry.
right
Shalee
through the group.
Why was she not in the group? So she's one of the strongest racers on the Zwift platform right now. Julie Chalet, we're talking about here. What's going on, Nathan?
I think one of her team members actually was off the back and she pulled her back up. I think is what happened. And then just rolled right on through. That's what it looked like because I saw two Abus Lacole jerseys come back into the pack at that point. I also saw a free ride getting put on for, was it Dudas or was it Irish? I don't think Irish was off the back. Tennille now looking to close this down.
Either.
This is going to be the moment now, though. We're about to take that left-hand turn. Covers are happening as we do see Schumann coming across here to Irish's wheel. We see Frisch as well. Some responses are happening before they even hit the climbing section. Is this the setup for the swap?
Yeah,
that may be what's happening here.
Say. Yeah, and so it's most likely, and you could also make a game time decision and say, forget it, we didn't get the gap, I'm not swapping. Because I think it might have been for the swap, but I don't think they're doing it now.
Look at these heart rates before they even hit the climb, Dave. 178 beats per minute before they're setting up this climb to be one of the biggest throwdowns we've ever seen in esports history right now here. Teresa D, BBB, now making their way to the front. I love what Herd and BBB are doing amongst some of these super teams. They are making names for themselves right now. And this is such a setup here. And Abus Lacole being involved here. We've got all of these newer names, and now we do see Abus Lacole over the top. But I just love it that we have these perennial top esports teams. Beast Mode. We've got Aeonian in here. Wahoo Lacole are in here as well. And then these Dead Sun and Herd mixture team coming. Is anybody swapping? Or are they just rolling through, Dave? I have not seen them stop.
Doesn't look like it. I'm not anticipating it with the speeds in this group. This is what racing is all about. That's going to be interesting. One of the top riders, DZ here on Aeonian. Okay, this is going to be a swap. So Nathan has found that Gabriel Schumann, the German talent, one of the top riders here, has made the swap. Nathan, let's follow this. So the progress now, so you see the Brazilian flag. She actually is from Brazil, living in Germany. I apologize there, but certainly a cornerstone rider for the Rose Beast Mode team. Again, Gabriel Schumann here. Nathan, 8
I don't know.
seconds,
Did the swap actually happen? I don't know if it actually happened. I think she came to a full stop and made the swap quick, but I'm not sure. All of a sudden, she got back up and going again real quickly.
Maybe we're just not seeing.
We may be just not seeing it. Well, look at how fast she's traveling, though. 34, 33. Look at how she goes right by these. I think she did make the swap. Look at this. Oh, my gosh.
Okay, she's going to catch the group here.
And then does she go straight through it is going to be the question, right?
Yes is the answer. There's no doubt in my mind. So the question, Nathan, for me is, can she put more than 20 seconds into this group on the climb?
This is interesting too, Dave. These were the two that made the initial kicks on Road to Ruins at the bottom of that first climb into the jungle, right? But now instead, we've got Julie without a swap on the front and Gabriella on the chase looking to try and bring back time.
Julie's bike is sub-ideal. She's not even on a Tron bike. So Julie Chalet here is, I'm going to have to check and see what level Zwifter she is. But relatively, it's all in perspective, new to the platform, I believe. We've really been talking about her as a breakthrough talent over the last couple of months. So It's going to be blown to bits here. This is the featured segment, no doubt about
she
it.
already catch
Temple,
them?
KOM.
Oh my gosh. She caught them and went straight through like it was nothing already. What the? I was like looking for her still to be like 10 seconds back or something. She's through at 6.3 watts per kilogram right now, 19 kilometers per hour. Rose Beast Mode with a teammate trying to jump on the wheel like we saw from Mutant over the weekend in Electric Spirit Co. Not going to be make it happen with the speed here. 4 seconds now, 2 seconds to Julie. She's going to go flying right by. 20 kilometers per hour, Dave, versus 20 at this point. Can Julie hang on is going to be the question.
That's exactly what I was just going to say, Nathan. So Julie is a monster. She can prove herself to be superstar if she can hold this wheel. I don't think it's possible. Just look at the speed, like a locomotive at full speed. I'm really curious. This is a big moment in Julie Chalet's career, obviously, for Gabrielle Schumann. She's the rider in black and orange on the Beast Mode team. Rose Beast Mode absolutely making the race. So what we're saying is even though you see a Tron bike or a concept bike underneath her, we believe she's changed to a gravel bike here. Yeah, and it's just not possible to hold that wheel. I'm thinking 20 seconds is my over-under. The way Gabrielle is riding, Nathan, this climb goes on and on now. She's got a lot ahead of her to work with. Make hay while the sun is shining, and she's just throwing more bales of hay onto the back of the wattage truck.
Scaber, sometimes it does. Thank you for the question in chat. Just so you know, and this is a great question to come through on chat over on the YouTube channel. Does the game not render a new bike after switch or something? I'm seeing Schumann on a Tron still. We are seeing that as well here. And sometimes it does make the swap. Other times it doesn't render it on the client side. And it feels a little
not,
bit.
actually.
More often not. Sometimes I think it has to do with whether or not we're actually on the avatar at the right time. So we'll see if it does register here to come on through. But Dave, she's got 23 seconds on the group now at this point. 23 seconds. And then if she makes another swap, this could be an all-out win. She's going to get the points over the top and maybe first across the line when it comes to the final sprints. This is huge. Well, I think Julie's going to hang on, though. This is crazy from Chalet. This is insane from the Abus Lecole team.
I am not a fan of this. Now she's gonna this is my worst moment ever in the Zwift broadcast. So Gabrielle's gonna prove me so wrong. It's not even funny.
We had a discussion about bike swaps before, and Dave was like, "No, no."
And so one part of this is, what would they call it? A backhanded compliment where, well, I'm going to say, well, she's just so strong. It doesn't even matter. You could put her on a unicycle and she'd win this race. But I can't go there.
191 beats per minute though, Dave, right now.
So let's be honest. She's a world-class athlete making a superhuman effort who showed some courage and made this bike change, and it's paying off. All credit to Gabrielle.
I mean, eighth in the world right now. Eighth in the world right now when it comes to Zwift
She's
rankings.
A legend. And you know what, Nathan? She thinks like your mindset. Let's try. If we fail, so be it. This is what the best athletes do, is they constantly push the envelope. We talk about that razor's edge. Gabrielle Schumann dances on that razor. It's beautiful. Beautiful to see this. I have no idea how old Gabrielle is, to tell you the truth. I wonder if she has an in real life racing. Is she a mountain biker, a road racer? What is her? So, well, I'm going to have to do some research. She's going to pick up some huge kudos here.
Interesting. There's a lot of gravel to go. Yeah, there's a lot of gravel to go. But I guess making the swap now. Maybe it's not the worst time.
100% confirming that she made the swap.
Now she's got to jump onto Julie's wheel.
Good for Julie.
Oh, did Julie make a swap?
She couldn't.
Or is she waiting? Is she waiting? She's waiting. She wants to work with her. Makes a lot of sense. This is for the win. Abus Lecole. Oh my gosh. This is
who do you give the advantage to? So it's interesting. She went from a Tron bike. Now, she didn't go back to her Tron. She went to her fastest, most aerodynamic bike. So
it's the right move. I think it's the right move. She wants, this is really well thought through here. Now look, Haig is here, and Haig's on a Tron.
She'll have used 3 different bikes in this race.
So cool, actually. Oh, but Dave, there is the hungry pack of wolves. Hungry pack of wolves coming. This is no joke right now. Oh, man.
Engstrom is here. Look at this. Barbara Frisch is here. Kegstrom as well. The Swedes in full effect. Oh, man. So obviously some Tutti Fruttis got loaded up, some sugar energy now as the Swedes are relentless in this group. You got Coralie Arthur, who's shown herself to be one of the fastest sprinters. Nathan, this could be the best race that we see all season going on right now. Gabrielle Schumann, the third bike of the day. Where is Julie Chalet?
2 seconds off the back, and we even saw Gabriella trying to hold up a little bit there, I think, for Julie, but she's just got nothing left in the tank, I think. Hag is not going to be able to do anything here. She's going to not work with this chasing group at this point. It may be just Gabriella versus the rest of the group, and that is a really tough place to be with that many bodies on the downhill that's coming here. The super tucks, the speed. I don't know. No,
so it's a small group.
It's going to be so tough.
So which side do you want me to pitch here, right? The devil's advocate. If I'm going to say I'm on the Gabrielle Schumann team, I'm going to say, yeah, the gap is 15 seconds, but it's a small group, and they might infight a little bit. I think that, so it's not impossible that Gabrielle can hold on for 9.5K here, although looking at that group, it's not that small. It's not that small at all.
Pretty big at this point.
You know what? There's no, as they say, useful riders. Well, there's an opposite of useful. I won't use that word, but everybody here is useful. They're all going to contribute. I would expect.
And they have Ionian involved. Kristen Yax is here. They've got Engstrom, as you said. They've got WLC. Boy. And WLC has one of the best tactical games in the game.
Four Swedes, Nathan, in this group. SZ. So they can sacrifice 2 riders here if they needed to. They don't need to. Well, you know what? Well played, Gabrielle Schumann. And the race isn't over. So let's just continue to say that fortune favors the brave. You know one thing that I have to say? 5K hero, come on. I mean, unless something crazy happens in the next 4K, Gabrielle Schumann has earned a tremendous amount of respect for being an out-of-the-box type racer.
She does get caught at that point. Gabriella does not have a sprint on her compared to a lot of these women out here today. So
not her
thing.
Just
looking to break the rest of them if she can. But at this point, I think it was just all about those climbing points. She did her job, and now it's going to be up to, I think, Hag to be the sprinter amongst beast mode if they're going to get something more out of this pack, because there is some serious firepower here. I mean, Coralie Arthur, you saw her walk away in that countryside sprint. It was ease. It was almost with ease. And Coralie made it over the top with the chasing group, which shows she's got a lot in the tank right now at this time of the season.
And Yax is still here. Kristen Yax of Aeonian, the Swedes.
That is one thing, though. There are some riders that don't want to sprint still, not just Schumann. There are other riders in this group that will still want to break this a little bit and try and get away.
It's funny. And Coralie Arthur's like, who? What are their names? Because I will crush their souls.
Exactly. Yeah, let us know. Let us know, Nathan, exactly who you're talking about so I can watch them. Because you're right.
There's nothing a sprinter needs more than hearing this chum in the water, right?
You know what's great about this is all these ladies are friends in a lot of ways, and they all really know each other throughout this community and this community racing. And right now, the knives are drawn, and it's every woman for themselves or every team for themselves. But when they get across the line, there's nothing but encouragement, which is great to see. But yes, you're right. I think Cora is going to be marking everyone to make sure she not only grabs the finish line sprint, but also the sprint coming right before that, because we've got 2 sections for sprints still coming up. We are going to see some power-ups being thrown here at this point to make sure they are not carrying anything with them that they do not want to the line.
Yeah, I would completely agree. 7K to go. This is the group of your winner here. And the numbers now, what would you call it? Like a fire suppressant, where when you're in this group, Nathan, and you look around, you got to be pretty crazy to attack, knowing that teams have multiple backup riders to help chase you back. And that tells me that you're going to look at a group sprint with now that sprint will start early and it's going to be chaotic, and it won't be a classic sprint either. It's not like they're going to and that's one of the things about racing on this platform is you can't really do a standard lead out, or not, certainly nowhere near as efficiently, I guess would be one way to put it. The pieces don't fall in place quite as easily out here. And this one's going to be a battle royale, no doubt about it. When you look at the points, Sammy Stewart and the Canyon rider. Now, that's the big surprise, Nathan. With so much going on, Canyon so aggressive to start this race. They've got Sammy Stewart here. I see Sammy right in the middle of the group, and she's the biggest threat to Coralie on my book. I guess let me throw that to you, Nathan. Sammy Stewart must be Coralie's biggest danger woman, right? Or is it one of the Swedes?
Oh yeah. Stewart being in this, I mean, she's been so dominant in those
She's
sprints.
so fast.
So yeah, and I really think we're looking at a Coralie versus Stewart situation. Honestly,
kind of like when King Kong and Godzilla were fighting. I think,
I think that's exactly the comparison these ladies are looking for, Dave.
yeah, Godzilla and King Kong.
I love it.
Yes.
So
Elise Haag, you've got here. There's another rider we haven't mentioned yet. Very, very talented. But Nathan, you know what's coming here as we hit 30K to go. The pressure's on you. We got to make that 5K to go hero call.
Yeah, I mean it's
pretty easy for me.
Yeah.
No-brainer.
There's kind of a no-brainer on that one. Now the men are about to be taken off, or are taking off here in about 1 minute on the other feed that we do have here. Actually, 14 seconds to the start, and you also can see the join event button for the next race after that, which will be the women's EMEA West Division 1, and that will be our final broadcast for EMEA. We will get a replay for everybody of this men's. Well, we might be able to just watch this live, actually, as I think these ladies for a little bit
staying together.
Well, we'll get a replay, actually, rather than leave the action with this ladies race, because I have a feeling we may start seeing some things open up. So we'll get a replay of what happens with the men. But just as a heads up, that is what is taking off out onto course. But Dave, I think you are 100% right on the day-to-day. It is going to be, we're going to give it to Gabriela Schumann. Obviously, the bike swap, she took the risk. She made the initial break to happen out there today, and definitely was the race maker as far as making this pack what it is at this point with that bike swap. The only rider to take the chance, and it ended up paying off for her. Grabbed 30 points for Rose Beast Mode. And honestly, Dave, I'm also going to say this. Rose Beast Mode are not on that points board pretty much other than what we saw from Gabriela here. They're going to have to put some work in the back end of this race, but definitely the race maker so far to where we are at right now.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this one sorts out. That's a great point, Nathan, in that she did a tremendous job of keeping the team in the conversation here after what we saw from Canyon Beta to start things out. Canyon Beta's got Sammy Stewart in this group. The Swedes probably in the best position. Aeonian also right there. But when you look at how we score this, finish line points are massive. So right about now, that alley sprint, it comes up so early as the men will be seeing that. For the women, tower sprint reverse. So it's a gut punch here right before the finish for the ladies. And we're back in with Gabrielle Schumann, our 5K to go hero. This is her teammate, Elise Haag. So Rose Beast Mode in the black and orange kit, represented with those two in this group. 3 Aeonians. I was going to say 4. There it is. 4 Swedish riders, 2 from Wahoo Lacole here.
Yeah, looking through here, I wonder if we're going to have any kind of setups. I mean, with so much pressure here on this front group, I'd be really surprised if there aren't some DSs really trying to do some chess right now and figure out what resources to use how amongst this group.
I'd be very reluctant. It's interesting. Right now, I would just tell my riders just to sit in here because it's crazy, but sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. And that might be, I know that's very counterintuitive, but I think right now, I mean,
Anybody
who attacks is going to get covered and killed is the thing.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know, like with the amount of energy now at this point, how much energy that's been reserved now, it's been chill for a while. The timing might not be there any longer, right? Because they're going to be able to cover anything. You would have to actually attack, and just really put people into the red zone. If I were a DS, though, that wasn't with Canyon Beta, if I wasn't with WLC at this point, you'd have to have a lot of confidence. Here it is. This is what I'm talking about. There it is. WLC going. Well, interesting, though. It's from Battersby, and they're setting up Cora. That's what they're doing. They're setting up Cora Lee Arthur and trying to take points double time because now Cora can just sit in. Gabrielle Schumann has to go to try and chase this down, and she's going to try and get into a breakaway situation probably because that would be the counter that you would want to see from a rider who doesn't have a sprint. Walker is also there, it looks like, from WLC trying to make something happen. Here comes a ghost power up, though, also from Stewart. Stewart trying to take this down. Battersby's going to get these initial points. Stewart over the top now at this point. Cora Lee, no, it's going to be WLC doubling up. 1, 2, Stewart for third, Aeonian fourth and fifth. Oh my gosh.
What happens now?
Oh,
so look at that. So this drafting power up being used by Cora Lee there should be effective for her to put a little more charge on the battery. Wow, what a moment here. We're coming up on 2K to go. So that one, Wahoo Lacole punching above their weight out here. That was beautiful by Battersby there, using that ghost very effectively now, and it's just going to be absolute pandemonium from this point on. So the Swedes are now going to respond to that earlier aggression. It's a counterattack from the Swedes
that's
here.
It. Counter, that's the answer. That's the only answer, I think, against the sprinters. That you saw the sprint there, Dave. That's what's obvious, and that is all just going to play out again in a little under 2K, right? So somebody's got to do something because
how do you
can't stop them.
Right, well, so, and the thing is, so they say, how do you disrupt that, make that scenario not play out? I don't know. I don't know that you can, as right now, Wahoo Lacole doing such a great job. But the numbers here with the Swedish team, with 4 in this group, Aeonian, the top team so far this season, they've won the first race and our team time trial last week. This is certainly the biggest threat that they've seen in a while.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Wahoo Lacole and Sammy and obviously Coalition there as well, trying to really make the race here at this point, but WLC on the challenge, and they are working their ways up now at this point. And Aeonian on the back foot, though, as you just said there, Dave. They took fourth and fifth, but those two teams stealing a ton of points and challenging them. And I think today may not be their day. We see them slip down this leaderboard with 1K to go now. This is the moment. And Dave, this is a lot of times that 1K to go. Sometimes you see it. Right? This is like, okay, this would be the last chance, I think, if you're going to make something happen. I think a lot of these ladies, though, at this point, they're going to trust themselves for at least what they can get out of this rather than be last place, right? Like, you could go now and be last place and not make it happen or be the winner. It's kind of playing in the middle of the road and trusting your sprint, it seems like, at this point.
Yeah, it seems like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't at this point. If you're not a rider like Sammy Stewart right there for the Beta team or Cora Lee Arthur here. Let's see if someone can upset the apple cart. That's what, for so many riders, Nathan, this is what sport is all about, having these opportunities, especially when you come into a sprint like this as an underdog. If you can get this win, flat out, you can feel ecstatic. It looks like the Swedes are going to start to push the pace now, so they want to get the speeds a little bit higher as we go into 5, make it 400 meters to go. There goes Beast Mode presented by Rose. They're one of the teams that's going to be very, very crafty at this point, but Nathan, get ready. We're locking this down. It's a full-on Donnybrook going on right now here in Neokyo.
Here we go, and there's Cora Lee Arthur, 12 watts per kilogram. Stewart trying to come over to the top. Is Stewart going to make it happen? She's got the drafting power up. It's neck and neck. Cora Lee, Sammy Stewart, neck and neck. Oh my gosh, Cora did it. It was right there. That was one of the best sprints head-to-head we have ever seen. And, I mean, 2 of the monsters of Zwift racing, sprinting in the women's scene right to the line after all of that. And it comes down, I think, to less than a thousandth of a second. WLC Coalition, love it.
Oh, my gosh, ladies, are you not entertained That a reduced group sprint. I mean, to be fair, I think that's a back end API. I mean, it was close enough to me that if I'm Sammy Stewart, I'm not sure that I'm second place at this point. That was so close. I know one thing, we're all winners when we have this kind of racing at this level. So that's going to be Coralie closest to you here with the pink sleeves. Sammy Stewart in Canyon kit there comes up, makes this late surge. Now she comes even with Coralie Arthur here. And this is where you just tip your cap to these two women. They are digging so incredibly deep. Again, the back end API is going to be really interesting because this gets closer and closer. The angle is a little bit tricky. My goodness. Talk about, well, I mean, it definitely, if you go by the image, Coralie gets it for sure. But that was awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Great racing by the ladies. Big thank you to them for the show that they put on because that was back and forth, nonstop racing out here today.
I want to leave on that note. I think
we're just done. It's over. Sorry, boys.
How do you do better than that? How can you do better than that?
Well, we do have
it's
some
like
attacks
following
off the front.
The Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, as they say. That act was so good. All right. Well, the guys never disappoint either, and it looks like we've got our first attack now. Well, I should say second attack because they've already sprinted at the alley sprint. Let's see what we've got going on as they make their way now to the railway sprint here in the early going.
Yeah, nice little kick here coming from. It's going to be
a pretty good gap.
Barra from KRT looking to try and close that down, though. That's an old school name. Barra, he's been around for a long time from the KISS Racing team and is showing that he's got something to bring to the table right now as the Italian rider over the top and looking to try and get into a breakaway situation here, it looks like. We'll get the points as well as the current league standings up on screen in just a moment. This is brave because this downhill is not going to be nice to those boys when it comes to any kind of breakaway situation.
I don't think he cares. I mean,
you don't care.
No, I mean, I think he's here to get the railway points.
Well, I think they're already through that section, though. I think they're already.
Oh, are they? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So that's the interesting part. So that was the KOM.
It's a long way. Yeah, so then I'm with you then, actually. This is going to be tough to rationalize this effort.
Well, let me see if we can bring in the men's sprint.
Railway.
So Verheil, interesting enough, he's been doing this all race because take a look at this. This was the start. We're 800 meters into the race, and look where he is. 800 meters into the race earlier, and that's where he's at. No, it didn't take long at all. We had some really good racing, though, right off the bat here from these boys, as we are going to see some of the strongest men in Zwift racing. As you see Knudsen there from DZR going head-to-head with Lejeune from the SZ team. Lindquist is there with 17 watts per kilogram. Look at that. I think he was just late.
To give perspective for folks, this sprint at the start is as fast, if not faster, than the finish of the race.
65 kilometers per hour? I mean, it's insane.
So this is as similar to World Cup mountain bike racing as you could possibly find, where the start is the hardest part of the race.
I just want to point out the SZ rider there real quickly. His timing is the only problem there. Look at he's got 7. I just want to tell people this only from like, do you think this is just a Watts fest? No, this is tactics. Because look at how his speed comes through. He's doing probably 68 kilometers per hour comparatively. He just didn't time it. And Knudsen, he just ends up with it because of that. As you see Lindquist back off and roll on through. So nice job to the riders there. That's the first point situation as they are leaving Neokyo shortly. And heading on over toward the mystical lands in just a moment. Of the Curry Islands.
We make our way through the Europe, Middle East, and Africa as we start the third race of season 3 of 2022. So this is good. So we have another women's race about to head out on course. This is our mixed men's EMEA South, and I don't know Division 1A that we've been with the South before.
We have not in this season. We have not. We have in other seasons, but we are jumping in. I do want to. With this South
Mateus
here.
de Roos is in this field.
Really?
Yeah. He's been a winner in the Premier League, the Belgian rider. He races for Abus Lecole. So BZR changed their name to Abus a few months ago.
Thank you for that. I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, and they're all Belgians on that team. And
That's
Mateus,
a big deal.
Yeah,
BZR
he's huge
are
talent.
one of the fastest in the world of Zwift racing. The men's
I would
team,
say one of the 5 best, in that group of the 5 best esports racers.
Is Towle still riding for them then, I wonder? Is Leonard Towle still on that team?
Not today, at least, in this race. That's a great question. I'm very curious. I haven't heard about Leonard. You know what, though, Nathan? Leonard is probably fully engrossed in his professional road season right now. So maybe he's not. The question is still valid, but I don't think he's doing any esports racing for the next few months.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, as he is fully committed to his in real life UCI team as well, most likely.
Yeah, he's a pro continental racer, so he, no joke. I think he just did Tour of Turkey.
Really, I didn't realize that. Awesome, really awesome. Well, we will be bringing
Bail Bonds coaching. I'm kidding. Bialo.
Yeah, I was like, what are we talking about? I had no idea what. Like suddenly there was this thing that Dave said that I have zero reference. I think I've got it now, though. Like all the time, I do that to Dave. Where like I just say something he has literally no reference for, so he's just giving me a taste of my own medicine. I think
Turnabout is fair. So this must be M. Bialbo Block iPro coaching. Would be. It's a lot to take in right there. But on the front, right now, guys, 11.3K into 35K. This is like a blockbuster, is a good way to put it. It's just there's a lot of exciting things that happen. Bike change. Well, we've seen it. Well, you know what? I was going to say we've seen it work, and that's fair because Gabrielle was able to pick up points that she wouldn't have picked up most likely otherwise. So I would say that means it worked.
I mean, on a sprinter's course, right? It's a points race today, and sprint is going to win the day today. And she got the job done for what she needed to do because I don't think there was really many other places where she was going to shine. So, those who are climbers out there that are watching about what to do, it can be done. I mean, not usually the bike swap doesn't work. Well, it worked today to grab 30 points for a team. So obviously, if you've got the power and you want to take that risk, it is there for you for the taking. Women's race here in the West is just opening up. I am going to head on over to them very quickly here to watch their. Well, do we have 2 different sprints opening up right now?
Wow.
I don't think so. I think
talk about the hits
attack.
don't quit.
There's an attack going off the front right now in the men's race.
And the women have their first sprint. The alley sprint comes up in a couple of minutes here.
Like almost immediately. So Abus Lecole here, as you can see off the front with the Smetch. Mackey's trying to close that down. On the women's side of things, though, let's go ahead and jump right down into the action and see how this plays out. It is going to be Jen here from LEQP Stages trying to make the break. Smith there as well from Rafa CC right on the wheel. I do see some socks for Watts coming on through. It's going to be Paul out of Germany trying to make it happen, but on the wheel is Strasser from Crush Pod through. I think Paul just held on. From the Sock Schwartz team. We'll have to take a look at the points. But Strasser from Crush Pod for second. It was the opening up, I think, from the LEQP rider, I believe, the Quip rider, I think, that was able to maybe hold on for the final points. Sykes was there from Aeonian as well. Zwift employee, always great to see them hammering it out amongst the crew. Wow, look at the splits now already opening up. This isn't even 2K in, Dave. Not even 2K
Yikes.
in.
Looks like this group here is going to get back into the field, but yeah, that speaks to how aggressive these starts are. As you take a look, it's going to be Deschmecht here taking a couple riders with him in the early going. And that really is the story people joining us now, so many points on offer with the first across the line and the fastest through segments out here in Zwift community. This is decidedly different than what we would have seen in the
You know who
Premier
drives
League.
me crazy, Dave? I'm sorry, but you know, just
No,
Noah
jump in.
drives me crazy because Noah closes everything down. He's like this, I mean, and I'm a breakaway, take your chance, roll the dice kind of rider, right? I mean, it's smart.
funny.
He's doing a great job for his team, but he drives me crazy because he does it to me all the time when I'm racing with these guys, and I watch him do it on broadcast too, where he just goes to the front, sets 7 watts per kilogram, he doesn't jump across, and he brings the whole pack with him every single time.
It's funny. They say the same thing about Stephen Kung in the World Tour, right? If he's in the front group, everybody has a domestique because he'll chase it back, right?
Exactly.
It's one of those you don't want. Yeah, that's a tough one. Noah Balch is OTR rider that we're talking about. He's a real talent as well. He's got a huge engine. So, man, so when he's motivated to chase things back, it changes the dynamic out there, doesn't it?
100% does. And you did see, I think, what was happening there is that not BZR, excuse me, the Abus Lacole team was wanting to cause a break early enough before the country sprint to grab those points and maybe set themselves up for a solid lead on the climb. And so I think they were really, and I think what I'm trying to say is that they was far enough out from the next point section that they could set themselves up to actually get this break not to happen on the climb, but get it to happen so early on that they've got a good amount of wiggle room to work with. Maybe a couple come across or get close on the climb. It was a great tactic, in my opinion, and they're going for it again.
Is Noah the kind of guy that would be a bike change person, Nathan?
Yes, I think so, actually. I think
right,
no, on the line though. I think it's on the line with him. And if I were thinking about Noah and OTR, I think it's
probably
kind of on the line.
Not with this race scenario right now. It might not be encouraging. That's for sure. One thing that we've seen today in all of the races up to this point has been that the Tempo KOM has been where the selection has been made. It's been typically a pretty, a moderate size group. Selection is the perfect word for what happens on that climb. It's we haven't seen anyone go over the top and be able to hold on to a gap yet today. See if that changes.
That's a good point. Huh. So there are just enough riders, it seems like, in the group.
10 to 15 riders chasing back.
I think we saw 4 or 5 hold to the line, right, in our first broadcast.
That's a good point.
Yeah, in the Middle East broadcast, we did see that. But if a group goes over, they stay, it seems like. If there isn't a large group chasing behind, if it's like if they're evened out, it seems like they stick. We've got a sprint open up here on the women's side. It was.
No, you're 100% right. That group of 5 that did stay away had 5 of the best racers in the race in it as well. Let's look at this. Jane Despas, one of the Socks for Watts riders there. You can see the light blue and dark blue kit. Socks for Watts all over the front right now. Aeonian as well.
Trying to come over the top. Sykes is there. Look at this. So it's going to be Smith from Rafa. No, Paul goes again. Nice kick with the arrow power up. Strasser's there as well. They're unstoppable. They go 1, 2, 3 for Paul, then Strasser, and then Rafa CC. Mundum is there as well. Gamst is in there. Luis for Stelvio Toyota. And it looks like another split. Socks for Watts have a lot of jerseys up here, Dave. If they were to start pushing the pace up here, they could end up with quite the dominant crew in the front.
Natalie Lawrence is racing today. That's a big name. Yep. So I just know. And Lawrence. That must be Natalie out of the United Kingdom. And boy, they do have a murderer's row of races on that Socks for Watts team here.
And now we are just getting into the countryside sprint already. Some drafting power-ups on the men's side of things starting to be opened up. Loreno from DZR. Now, here we go. Chase Race Real Try podcast. What's happening here? A little bit of a jump out of the man from America here, but it's going to be Euler from Sweden. Early go at 14 watts per kilogram. Not going to hold on to it, though, as Karluk at 18. Zimmerman's been off the front for a while with an early attack. That's not going to hold. And Dutch Racing ZNL easily. That wasn't even like.
Wow. Very Dutch.
Yeah, bye. See you later. I don't know. Where's the rest of the group? Looks back. Nobody's there. Maybe we just continue on. Actually, that's exactly what I would do. I'd put my head down. If I were third or fourth wheel, I'd put my head down.
Well, this is the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nathan, we were talking about the counterattacks, and certainly you are the most exposed if you were going for that sprint. This is where you see that draft seat. You can see it being used by quite a few riders. That van there is the drafting power-up, which gives you a little bit of a reprieve, that backstop that you might need, because this is the most dangerous kilometer out here, leading from the countryside sprint onto the climb, because it turns into a dirt road, a gravel road, where it all goes down. You're not going to win the race there, but you certainly could lose it.
Look at Carluck going backwards. He's going to bump it up real quickly there. Here, Zimmerman's off the back after that early attack, as you can see. Back Zimmerman.
You go that hard for these sprints. That's where you really are hope.
There's only 35 left, Dave. What is going on today? This is such a difficult course, obviously. People are just getting shed left and right.
It's like that perfect storm of you've got racers who are aggressively making the race on a course that allows you to really do damage. So it's that double whammy that we've got out here. This is going to be INC and Woody, but right, more riders getting dropped. It's just brutal out here today. This is the season standings at this point. Restart sitting on 39 points. They've got a win and a second place. 20 points is what the winning team will get today. That win is based on all of the points that your riders have collected at multiple different pickup zones. There's fastest through segments where it's a time segment. Those points are valuable. You've also got the sprint points. Think bonus sprints in any standard race. Those points are distributed multiple times. Alley sprint, railway sprint, country sprint. And then you've got the KOMs, Temple KOM. And finally, there's a sprint right before the finish today called the Tower Sprint. So I don't know that we have more points stacked up in 35 kilometers of racing than what we've got here today. This course is going to go down as one of the all-time favorites, chasing the sun, and it is on out here. So the guys now coming up on 19K in. Let's take a look at, excuse me. I was going to say Wahoo Lacole. Similar blue, isn't it? But in this case, it's going to be... Man, I am having a total mental block on Socks for Watts there. As we take a look at the
Toyota Cryogen as well are also there with blue. They're both in blue, so it's tough to spot the difference there a lot of times between the two of them. They do look very similar, actually, because they both have this like symbol on the back. You know, one's a unicorn and then the other one's a tire, but they look a little bit similar. Because you got the fire there, too, on that tire, and there's part of the tire there, and then you also have, it looks like, you know, the unicorn's got some hair flying off the back. Carly Johan go in here. Nice job by Carly for I Race Like a Girl. I just want to shout out real quickly, we do have the Zwift knockouts going on tomorrow over on Zwift's live streaming channel on their main channels. And Hannah Walker just did the draws, actually, over on Zwift's Instagram. It is live right now. She just did them live 6 minutes ago. So head on over there, and you can see all the action live from those draws for the knockouts tomorrow. A new racing format that is happening on the Zwift main channels for their esports. That's a test, some testing event that's pretty cool, inviting the top teams from Premier Division as well as the qualifiers. Me and Dave will be on that with you tomorrow. Super excited to see how it plays out.
It's going to be really cool. I really hope that you come join us. Completely different as well. Knockout is the perfect term for it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I've been looking forward to that. Carly, Johan. And you'll see some familiar names in the racing there as well tomorrow. So the men hitting 20K
I think you may see some names we saw today, too, which is interesting. Some of these riders going back-to-back because
I'm anticipating Coralie Arthur is racing.
I would be surprised if not, because she's a top. I mean, why wouldn't you bring one of your top sprinters who's
on her game right now?
Yeah, seriously on her game right now too. That sprinting knockout style race. So I would not be surprised to see that, as well as I know Rose Beast Motor in there as well. So from the women's side of things, those are two to definitely watch out for in the knockouts tomorrow.
Yeah, to quickly explain what it is and how it's different, think like the NCAA basketball tournament where you have brackets and teams are eliminated through, except what's different is we're going to use slightly unique formats of racing to get to that point. It's going to be kind of like combining track racing, a little bit of road racing element, and a little bit of a Donnybrook, I guess,
The
in the
Donnybrook
mix.
genre of cycling.
The genre of Donnybrooks.
They
Yeah.
have the Donkey Kong genre is what we're getting out here.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Did you hear
what
Brad
you
Wiggins?
posted? I was just gonna say I saw
Yeah.
you posted that video. Oh, it's so good. Wiggins grabbed the Donkey Kong. That was really good. I wonder if anyways, well, that was
Our
that
colleague,
was fun.
I guess he's used it a couple times. Our colleague Greg Allen was telling me that it's become part of his thing. I announced his final race, Brad Wiggins, in Ghent, Belgium, at the Ghent 6-Day, and he came up to me afterwards and was like, "I love that shtick." You know, he was into the Dave Tollisms.
I love it.
So now he's using them
Well,
on the
who
moto,
isn't?
right?
Now the question is, who's going to make a swap? Nobody.
Oh,
Schwartz off the
yeah.
front here and backing
Not
off, and
gonna
Noah
happen.
right to the front here for Noah Bal. And this is a rider when it comes to just setting the highest tempo he possibly can. Like we said, chasing things down. I'd expect nothing less from him on this climb.
His nickname should be the Dream Crusher, right? Because nobody
I'm
helps
with you.
people lose more
I'm
races
with
than
you.
Noah Balch.
He is my dream crusher. This guy
Yeah.
is my dream crusher. 100%. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, Basanko now to the front for the England boys now.
Dream Crusher. That's a great nickname, actually. I would keep that with
we need
pride if
somebody
I
in
were
the
Noah.
community
Yeah.
to like do a graphic for the Dream Crusher, and we'll just put it up on with some sound bites as well. And there'll be like thunder and lightning. Noah Balch here, crushing
Not
dreams.
a lot of American
He's got a
flags this
ZRL
time.
helmet. Look at this. He's a winner. You see this?
Yeah, Noah's been really active in the ZRL through the whole run here. Not a lot of American flags I was noticing. There's a few as we move into, it's mid lunchtime here in the United States, more or less, depending on where you are and when you eat lunch. But this has been Germany's time zone, certainly earlier, right? Looks like not as many German flags at this point. I'm always fascinated by the nationalities that we see racing with us.
Now, as these
Lot of
boys
different
start to take
flags.
on this climb, this is going to be for a lot of points over the top. You got first across the line as well as fastest through segment. If they stay together a little bit, fastest through segment could be taken out by a rider who does a last second sprint but doesn't actually get first across the line. It doesn't usually happen on the KOM, but they may be able to pull that off here still. Now, my thing here with this so far is that there's not a single restart jersey in that current top 10. You see that, Dave?
Yeah, that's very interesting, Nathan. Like,
Not
let's
one.
take some inventory here. This is quite a mix, actually. Just like the race with the women we saw earlier, the Swedish Zwifters have got the numbers, as far as I can tell, here.
Look at the comparison, Dave. From so far, Restart have been dominant. Are they putting a lot of
Restart
chips into the
right
back
now,
end
well.
here? And now Jaden
Jaden
Yager.
Yeager.
Oh, man. And then I've raced with
Well-
this guy. You've commentated on this guy. If there's one who can set a pace, I've seen this guy off the front of a crit doing 30 miles per hour the entire time and staying away by like 20 seconds. So
He
I
seems
mean,
like the kind of guy that could set an incredible solo race across America time. His work ethic, his mentality is just a workhorse is a good way to put it. He's been a U.S. national champion multiple times. He's been on the U.S. Worlds esport team. Maybe when you look at how the storyline has played out for Jaden Yeager, so much high-end experience. This guy has done his work, no doubt about it. And certainly he's putting about 10 riders into real trouble
look
right
at the
now.
wattage. 546 watts, just setting it right now.
He just sets it
Smashing
and
these
forgets
guys.
it. Right. I mean, Not many people could do what Jaden Yeager is doing right now. Nathan, I hope we've got our 5K hero tabulation still going, because he might be riding his way right into it here. Jaden Yeager out of Wisconsin.
Yeah, and he's really making this group split now at this point, and this is the
He's
crucial
splitting.
point. I mean, at this point
Yeah.
is really when you need to hang on to the group here. It's about to be a couple more punches, and these gaps will open up. And if he's able, now here's the question: are they able to create that gap and at the same time blow
Or
up
did he drop
the
all his
group
teammates?
behind? Well, there is that too. Is there anybody from Restart left here at this point? There is this reality, though, that on this course, what we've seen is if you do not splinter it, it comes back together. So what he needs to do, or what these riders need to do, is they need to make it hard enough that people are trying to come across and they end up in no man's land. The more bodies you have in no man's land, the better for the break out here, because a large group behind is just going to make things difficult at the back end here. Barr, though, this is all about points. Look at KRT. This is a rider who's been around for such a long time. It's great to see him back at the top end of the racing, and Woody trying to come across some innovation. Yager now looking for those points that he's trying to earn early on. He's got a drafting power up, 179 beats per minute, and this is coming right to the line. There's going to be a sprint, but I'm not sure he's got enough left in the tank, Dave.
Oh, wow. I mean, this is absolute the highest level that we have seen out here today as far as pain goes. Barra absolutely holding on. And it looks like a redoubling of the effort there for Barra, maybe thinking he was going to get caught, but he says, no, that's not how it's going to go down. Writing his own script is Woody, then Yeager, Verhaal, Noah Balch is still there. Lindqvist looks like he's making the selection. Again, you can't win the race right now, but you certainly can lose it. These guys are really fighting. I saw Mike Swart was having a great ride today, and it looks like he's trying to battle his way back. This is relentless racing. After all of that work, now Jaden Yeager trying to chase back into the front group.
He's got to get on right now, otherwise it's over. Smet's there as well. Good on him. This is going to be the group that stays away. This will not be caught. There's plenty of bodies here to make it happen. If you do not grab on now, your race is over. So at 3 seconds here, Rackval, Pink, they need to go now, or it's
the train is rolling.
Done.
Yeah, the conductors made that last call, all aboard. If you're not on this train, you've got another 20 seconds to rejoin this group before it is gone. They're coming up on 10K to go.
It looks like we do have a lot of new viewers hanging out over on the Facebook channel. Really appreciate everybody jumping on in with us. I do believe a lot of these people who are jumping in as well, being new viewers, have never seen Zwift before, actually, most likely, as I think we are getting a little bit of a feature through the gaming side of Facebook today. So really appreciate that from Facebook. And welcome to Zwift Racing. If you're unfamiliar with what is going on here, these are all actual real athletes on real bikes represented virtually right now. Their wattage, or the power that they're pressing on in the upper left-hand corner to push these avatars, is pushing their avatars at about the speeds, maybe a little bit higher, some would think, but about the speeds that you would in real life. There is drafting in the game as well, so they are using pack dynamics. Their heart rates are there in the upper left-hand corner, and riders from literally all over the world, every single time zone, are being represented throughout the day in the Zwift Racing League. Yeah, and if you want to check it out, head on over to Zwift.com as well as WTRL.racing, who is the event organizer, and you can get involved in some of the racing if you do jump on Zwift. Dave, pretty cool to see all the new viewers jumping on in.
Yeah, I love that, Nathan. I think one thing to note here is the smart trainers that they're on. So they're on their actual bike, but what is really amazing to me when I first tried Zwift was the fact, you see that up in the top right corner, the -6 there, that's the gradient that you're on. And you really feel it. When you're on a climb, it's so hard to pedal. And when you're descending, it doesn't seem like you don't feel like you're quite flying like you do in real life, but it's unbelievably realistic, that's for sure. And this is the very highest level of racing that we have on the platform. Nathan was talking about tomorrow we're on the Zwift channel with a whole new style of racing, but this is your classic esports racing that we've got right now. And we're into the finale, the final 10K. So today's a 35-kilometer race with all kinds of bonus sprints that they've had, some serious climbing, but now it's mostly downhill and flat to the finish line. We use the term selection here, and that is the selection. We started with around 45 riders. Here's a name, Nathan, a Danish rider.
Villarino's trying to come across here. He's got Stephen Pink now off his wheel because of the kick that he just pulled here, but that's frustrating. It's one of the most frustrating
incredibly hard to
situations
do.
that you can be in because you make the kick, you want to go across, you're at that 57 kilometers per hour, nobody's on your wheel, so then you're like, do I even super tuck? Does it make any sense at this point? And now Pink is off the back of 3.2. I think Steven's just got nothing left in the tank. I've seen it over and over as well as Blackwell here now at this point. So Villarino now, it looks like, is he going to be able to make this happen? Come across. It doesn't look like it's going to be happening here. Now on the women's side of things as well. We'll jump across over to the women as it looks like Villarino here. Suddenly have lost, actually, it looks like any other riders out on course. Interesting enough. We'll see if we can find them again. They are there. Just lost them for a second.
Don't worry. Yeah.
They are there. They are there. Now in the women's side of things, it does look like we've got Ellen Tarquino, a large group actually. I think we've got 20 plus riders.
So
16 riders
this
making their way into the countryside sprint right now.
Yeah, this is a good example, actually, of take a look at that women's field right now. That's the screen over on your left. And watch how different this group looks by the time that they come over the top of the Temple QOM. That's the Queen of the Mountain Climb, where there are points waiting. That team on the front, one of the top squads in esports. That green, blue, and purple, or magenta, maybe would be closer to the color. That's Aeonian. This is a women's team. It's a franchise of teams out here. There's hundreds of women who race for that squad at all different levels. And a lot of the teams have that different level of racing. I Race Like a Girl, and that's Carly Johan, a triathlete, one of the top pro triathletes that we have racing with us consistently out here. So these are the names that we've got up in this front group. Strasser of Crush Pod is a big, big talent. There's over 12,000 athletes that participate in the ZRL on Tuesdays. We have multiple. I mean, we'll be racing later today in what we call our Americas. But Nathan, let me turn our attention to an attack going here as well. More a sprint, I should say, is that arch is where the points are waiting. And it looks like Aeonian is going to sweep up a few.
Yeah, Henderson and Sykes both make it happen for a first and third, I believe. It was Bardovskaha there. I believe that's how we say that. Yeah, I think I got that there with second for Toyota. But
so those points will score. We have fastest through segments and first across the line. That arch there, that actually doubles up, doesn't it? As it will have, that's a fastest through segment and a first across the line, I believe.
Yeah, yep, big points on grabs there. We'll take a look at the points as well as the series standings here for these ladies in just a moment. This is the women's EMEA West Division right now as they just made their way through the countryside sprint. I think Cryogen are kind of on the back foot a little bit. They're the current series leaders here.
Well, wouldn't you be when you look at this Sox for Watts team? Definitely, I would be pretty careful. I wouldn't want to poke the bear. That Nat Lawrence, you see her name rolling through the screen. She's in the hierarchy of all-time greats. So certainly, and Jane Despus on this team as well. There's a lot of talent on that Sox for Watts team. So you're definitely going to want to play your cards correctly here. But what's awesome is that how competitive things have become in the ZRL. Cryogen Stelvio is our top team, and they have not been beat this season. And Nathan, you can see that it's 3 riders in this front group right now, which I would say is par for the course. 4 is excellent. 2 is going to be a little light. Am I right on 3?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, look at let me see here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 riders. You're right. It is 3. They're just a little bit different. They got Cryogen rider Stelvio that you see here. And I don't think that there's 2 Cryogen teams. It's just a different it's in the community racing, and so they might race for a subsection of the Cryogen team. The ladies that are on the Premier Division team perhaps in the Toyota Cryo RDT kit, or perhaps they're just for some reason not a swap up to the Toyota Cryo RDT kit that you do see. But they are all riding for the same team here that you are seeing with those three. Sox or Watts, do they have the numbers? I think they do. 4 riders here.
They have 4.
Despas. Yeah.
Yeah. Despas, Lawrence, and company here for Sox for Watts. Let me see if I can grab the other 2 names here in our women's race. Obviously, these 2 races going on concurrently, and the women are flying out here today. It's a good-sized group. I see Joe Munden is racing for Cryogen. Katrin Nilsson and Nora Mertens, a couple of the big talents on that squad. You know, the rider, Nathan, that's new to me here, we were talking about the German Paul. I want to get the pronunciation right. I think it's Guxa Paul. As you can see that she has picked up some big points along the way. Looks like a solo attack coming from Simons here.
Yeah,
Belgian
trying to do something about it, but this is going to be the Avis Lacole team. Good on them. Nice move. And this, I mean, at 5K to go. So I might wait.
3.5 even. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, he made the move at 5K though. So,
so it counts.
I'm kind of like holding off here, like, dude, because Jaden, I was gonna give it to Jaden.
Okay, that's not fair. That's not how 5K to go rule works.
So, man, this is a
That's
tough
a tough
call
one.
here. This is a really tough call because he's got 5 seconds, and they're not doing
it to
anything.
Jaden Yeager. I think I would say Jaden Yeager, but because we've been covering so many races, this is a tough call.
It is. It's a really tough call here at this point.
Jaden was the one that split the group on the climb, and I think that was the most significant to me up to 5K.
Which set him up. I'm giving it to him. I think you're right, because it even set up the situation where this guy could even give it a go. We're giving it to Jaden.
Hey, there we go.
The restart here at this point, for sure. Nice job to Jaden out there splitting the group. And even after putting that effort in, he was able to hang on to the counters of his attack. Simone's here, though, off the front. We've got 12 watts per kilogram coming from Karlik. We'll see if it splits the group behind once again. But Simone's easily going to grab these points for the Belgian team. Karlik now 16 watts per kilogram. One last kick. Oh, I'm not sure he held on to it. I think Lickvis made a snag a couple of points at the line there. And now, I mean, I would not sit up. This is like 2K to go. If you can continue at all, you split this, but looks like a few riders are coming back. Over the top, there's Woody. This is what I'm talking about. 9 watts per kilogram.
Beautiful. Well, I tell you what, you don't attack when the race is easy and everybody's feeling good. You attack when they're at their limit. That is beautifully timed, coming over the points that were on offer. They're thinking that everybody would back up for just a minute. And you could see absolutely they did.
Look at the speed difference. Dave, look at the speed difference.
How many seconds does he need to put in the bank? He's at 1.7K to go. This is going to be thrilling.
44
seconds
kilometers
right
per hour.
now.
52 kilometers per hour.
Not a committed chase yet.
There's no chase. 3.2. They're not doing anything. They're literally looking at each other.
Until you see that go orange, if they don't turn those numbers orange in the next 30 seconds, they are not going to be winning this bike race today.
Innovation. 7 seconds. This is
He's
done. It's 1.3K to
it.
go, and they're doing
Unreal.
Barra. He's getting frustrated. No, he's at the back. Never mind.
He should be frustrated. They let it go. I mean,
that was a perfect counter. What a counter. Drafting power up and right through, holds 58 for a bit, then down to 54. Now it's 43. But you can see here, he's still got 2 kilometers per hour. I mean, this is over.
So he's got, let's call it 900 meters. He could stop and have a cup of coffee and still win this bike race now. This is incredible. Talk about timing
real
perfectly.
Quick. Strasser just did a bike swap. Just as a heads up, Strasser just did a bike swap. The only one to do a bike swap. She lost 15 seconds. Exactly the same thing that we saw from Schumann. So I'm just giving a heads up there, everybody. We'll go right back into the women's race in just a second as the bike swap has happened. 15 seconds to close down with 17 riders total in the lead group. It's Strasser off the back, actually 16. Strasser the 17th off the back, 15 seconds to close on the climb.
All right, and now we're back in with the INC rider Woody here in one of the most tactically
19
astute
seconds.
moves. So they clearly, amazing how quickly they never chased. They literally never chased. Talk about the knockout blow.
Just, I mean, they're not even inside. I mean, they're
This
nowhere
is
near.
Rob Wood. Rob Wood is the rider that we have here for the
What a win.
INC. Credit where credit is due. He said, again, it's all about smarts at this level. All of these athletes are incredibly talented. Now these guys are sprinting behind. So second place points, there's still massive points waiting, and Swedish Swifters is going to put 2 in the top 5.
Carla
It looks like here.
does it again.
Top 6.
No. Yeah, because Verhill comes over the top, bounces there as well. Nice job. Swedish Swifters just went too early, Dave. A little bit too early. That seems like their theme today a little bit. A little bit of the theme for them today.
Timing goes for you and against you out here. Well, this is going to be Strasser that we're looking at now, who made that change in his chase. It wasn't quite as effective as it was for Gabrielle Schumann earlier. Is she still chasing? I believe so. We're anticipating that even though you see the Tron, she's on a gravel bike here, but this is the front of the race.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw 6 watts per kilogram from bottom to top from Schumann. Can Strasser do, she's going to need to challenge the Sox for Watts train at the front. The Sox for Watts train has just put their confidence in their ability to simply just press an insane pace at the front and not even care about a swap. Wendorf getting dropped, Sykes as well, Sender here from Rafa. Looks like Smith trying to hang on, one of the riders that were in the top 3 for the points so far. But this is bodies are just dropping at this point, Dave.
Wow, and it's just the tempo that's being set out here. They never back off, as we're going to see up at the front now, Caroline Strasser making that bike change here. It'll be interesting to see if it's going to pay off. Now, that's Strasser that we're looking at right now with the orange wheels here riding through. So makes a big difference. We've even talked in the neighborhood of half a minute. But the problem is she's going to have to change bikes back. So unless she can pad her advantage, and she's still trying to chase up to the front of the race. That's her teammate that she's with here on Crush Pod. But Shire setting a very quick pace. It's 15 seconds right now. So a group of 3 looks like it's come together here, Nathan, with Badavoskaya, Carly Johan, and Shire just in front. That's the perspective that Caroline Strasser has.
Yeah, and look at Crush Pod here with Strasser. She's keeping them involved in this race and in this series right now at this 4th place currently. But Cryogen, maybe the real conversation here is what is happening between Cryogen and Sox for Watts at this point, because they're 2 points behind, and they're making the race happen with Paul off the front. Tarquino here from Seastar Race Like a Girl. They haven't shown up to enough races, I think. Is that what's happening there? No, they just haven't had a good go at it here. So it looks like she's putting them back on the map a little bit. Good on them. But Despa's still involved. Cryogen have how many? 2? And Sox Watts with 3 now. Aeonian are still here, but not as big of a part of the conversation. So it's going to be Cryogen versus Sox Watts for the series overall, it looks like right now. But Cryogen have a lot
really
more points right now with
Watts.
Luis Scamps. But yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. If you're thinking about what you can grab still that's on the table, right? There's still points on the table that are left, and you've got these 2 riders up here. While Sox Watts are on the back foot and need to be the aggressors, I wonder if perhaps Cryogen are playing their cards to grab as many points as they can to stay in that leader's position.
If you're Sox for Watts, you want to try to be really smart about this. And the way that you're going to be able to make some real headway at this point in the season is getting some other teams to help you. So you not only want to beat the CryoGen team, you would love to see So I Race Like a Girl get up there and beat them as well. Because that every point that you get separation between you and them is 1 point that you're taking over out here. So This is the front right now. The German Paul, Socks for Watts is the team,
Wow.
your solo leader. And she should, at this point now, be in pretty good shape here on the Temple
She's got
KOM
15
or
seconds,
QOM.
Dave.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage. Not enough to say that this is a solid chance for a win on the race, but it's certainly going to collect maximum bonification for that QOM up on top of Temple.
Absolutely. Amazing job, actually, here. Very impressed by Paul. I was not expecting this from Paul, honestly. Newer rider to me. So cool to see. We'll see what she can pull off over the top. She does come through for the points. Henderson here from Aeonian trying to battle it out, but it's going to be, Cryogen. Here comes Toyota. Over the top, going to take that second place. Henderson from Aeonian just going to hang on ahead of Ellen Tarquino. Despas then, not able to grab any points from Tarquino. Johan is there. Carly. Strasser. This is the tough
That
part
was
here,
good
Dave.
for Cryo.
Strasser, she
Yeah, that
gets
was
some points, but now Socks for Watts have numbers, though. And if they can come across, Cryo's in trouble. If these riders can come across, we Shire and Lawrence now. They need to make it happen. Strasser now making a bike swap. Tough on her as she sees riders just roll by.
couple Cryo right. Boy, this is interesting. It's really split up here, as it looks like teammates are really digging in, trying to help their teammates get back up into this group. This is Louise Gamps, another mega talent out here, the Danish rider on Stelvio Cryo. So little bit of a Premier League vibe going on, and they're going to catch here. So, boy, they're almost neutralizing
2v2.
each other out.
I
Yeah.
love it, Dave. Good point. This is great to see the battle between Cryogen. The
So
top
what
two
does that
teams.
leave? What does that leave just in front of this group of four? Again, that's 2 Cryo, 2 from Socks for Watts. Now, in the it's actually right now the overall advantage goes to Sisu I Race Like a Girl, I believe. They've got 2 in that front group, although these two groups could merge together out here. What a race we've got here with 10K to go. I don't know how you pick a 5K to go hero out of this one, as it might be the entire field out here. Well, or actually, you know what? It's this woman right here. Jeschke Paul, the German, has been dominating, and she's still holding on to a 10-second advantage. Her teammate, actually, is Jane Despas. And then you can see this I Race Like a Girl riders, Tarkin and Johan. They're leading the chase at this point. Lot going on course right now.
And 9 seconds. I don't think this is going to stay away. She's fairly committed, it looks like. But look at how this is going to swell in just a second with Munden on the chase from Cryogen here. This is all going to come back together. We've got 5 riders with the addition of 4 more. 9 riders on the chase here at this point. And it really is a Socks for Watts versus Cryogen situation. I wonder what Lawrence is going to be able to pull off out here today. It's cool to see her back and racing. And on that Socks for Watts team, it would be a huge return for her if she were able to grab a win. And Natalie Lawrence, coming from a triathlete
They're going to
background,
catch.
They are going to catch.
I mean,
and she would be a rider that I'd maybe use as some ammo off the front a little bit to try and push the, after Paul gets caught, some matches are burnt there. If Lawrence has anything left in the tank, she is a good FTP rider.
Yeah, and what to do with that? I'm wondering what kind of a sprinter. Yeah, Jane Despas up in this group, I believe, or is she?
Yeah,
Actually,
Despas
it's
is there.
Shire
Despas
that's
is
up
there.
here.
Despas is
So
there. Yep.
I'm looking at who's the best sprinter for Socks for Watts, and actually, it's going to be Paul. It looks like it's going to be their sprinter once this all comes back together. If this comes back together, as we're down to 8.7K to go. It's all downhill or flat from here. Just one little kicker.
We do have, thanks again to all the new viewers. We are getting some questions coming on through. Name of the game is Zwift, ZWIFT, Zwift. And you can head over to Zwift.com to check it out. And it's a free download. CB, you do get 25K of free mileage if you want to jump on out there. These are all real people with real bikes currently smashing out the course of McCurry Islands, which is a Japanese.
Is that how it works now? You get 25 kilometers of
25
free
kilometers,
Zwifting
or I
when you
think
start?
it's 7 days. So it's one or the other. It's one or the other between them on the trial. So,
Well, give it a try. I have a feeling you'll absolutely love it. It's a game changer for so many folks. This is the high end of racing. I mean, these are world-class athletes that we have on our screen. So don't be disappointed if you can't do this on your first ride.
Joe Crispin saying would have loved to heard the Discord channels during the counter move. Incredible. I know, right? We need to get that in here. We need some live team cars in here. I'd agree with that 100%. I'll put that on the list of pre-productions. Contact all team cars. Hear all the heavy breathing and the screaming about what's going on. Well, what's going to happen, Dave? What's the prediction here? I mean, look at this. It's all back together now. We've got Sox for Watts with 4. We've got Cryogen with 3. Aeonian's got Henderson here sitting in, waiting, perhaps going to let them all do some work for her. And then we've got CCR Race Like a Girl, who have not shown up yet this season too well as far as the overall points go. But it's amazing that with where they sit in the series overall, they have had an amazing day and really could make a stamp today with these moves they made. I mean, Ellen Tarquino, she's no joke. She's been in some of the in real life esports events very early on, so she's a top racer and maybe making a new stamp here on this series right now. So this will be interesting with CCR Race Like a Girl and Aeonian with these other two powerhouses right now that are leading the series.
Really different scenario than what we saw in our previous women's race here this morning. Is in that race, Nathan, there were a couple powerhouse sprinters, women who've made their reputation as being out-and-out closers. That was Sammy Stewart and Coralie Arthur. This is really different. This is more of a who is the best sprinter left scenario in this group. And there's no rider. I hate to sell anyone short here, and I have a feeling I might be. But there's no rider that I'm noticing in this group that has a reputation as a monster sprinter. If you can tell me, Nathan, I would love to be wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. As a matter of fact, it's incredibly exciting. It's just a really different dynamic when you come into the finish. But I'm not seeing any rider here. These are more FTP type riders that we've got. As we say, there's horses for courses, right? And this does not look like a typical sprint gallop that we have. Carly Johan, I Race Like a Girl rider, Sisu, on the front here, is a triathlete. And I think it's fair to say that the general perception is triathletes are ultimate endurance athletes and not known for a stunningly quick sprint kick. So I don't think we have a true blue sprinter in this group.
Yeah, good call there, Dave. We'll see. Perhaps that's why I was thinking, like, we may see some late attacks here because of that, right? Like,
so isn't that interesting? It could go either way. Because, or do you say, well, with no other sprinter here, I'll take my chances. You know, like a lot of riders think that they're better at sprinting than they are, right? So certainly this would be a time where you're like, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a go. Maybe I'll find out if I've got sprinting. Like, it could go either way, I guess is my point, which is exciting. It's always cool when you don't know what's coming. Because Nathan, it could also, almost every one of these women would think, I'm not really a sprinter. Maybe I should attack at 2K to go. But you get...
Good point. Good point.
As they say, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
I did want to give a shout out. There was specifically to some of the D category riders over in the men's South, currently out on course, finishing up their race right now. Ben Parks, James Lowe. We've got a lead group over there of about, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders off the front by like 20 seconds. Sheldon Mayer, Dave Clarkson, James Turner, James Lowe, and Ben Parks. Looks like you guys have quite the battle playing out. I did see you over on the Pace Partners hanging out for a little while, and I always love it when you guys make your comments in game or contact us through any of the social medias, and we definitely hear you and love it that you're a part of the community as well as the broadcast. So definitely want to just give you a shout out and say thanks for hanging out with us, and good luck on the final few kilometers that you're into right now. 5K to go hero time though in this women's race for the West out here today, and I think it's a no-brainer when it comes to
You go with
who
Paul.
made this. Yeah, who made this happen today? And it was definitely Paul. Paul, great job on this rider. Was a little newer actually on my radar. I don't know about you, but Goxa, is it Goxa? Is that how you were saying it there, Dave? Paul?
Goxa? I was
Goxa?
saying
Okay,
Goxa. Yeah.
Level
But we should get
45, level 45 Zwifter.
Yeah, and definitely, as always, happy to take feedback on how to pronounce that first name. Even the last name, who knows? Maybe we're getting that wrong too. You never know. So, all right, Nathan. I think that at this point now, these ladies, I'm going to go with the former prediction there. I think that these ladies are all like, you know what? I'll take my chances in a sprint. Let's give her a go.
It looks like that's exactly what's going on actually with these riders, right? Oh, well, maybe not. Here, just as we say that, of course, Despas. Well, I think Despas was just. What was
Just
she doing there?
positioning.
Why did she use that power up though?
Well, they get another one, so she must have wanted to dump that. It's a 7 power-up day out here. So did they pick up one at that last arch, the
Just
tower
we're about
sprint?
to have a sprint, so I'm kind of like, hey, you could have used that in
At
the
least
sprint
used it
there.
for
Maybe
something.
somebody made that was a mistake. I think that had to have nothing because no one did anything. It was
Misfire.
just used it, yeah, because it literally did nothing. Now, C-Star Race Like a Girl, interesting enough, don't have numbers and are actually making their way to the front here. As Ellen Tarquino just pushes 5.3 watts per kilogram. She is a solid FTP rider. And watch out. If she gets some distance and Despa covers it, look, this is going to be covered immediately by Sox or Watts. They've got a gap,
That's
though.
the problem.
7 meters.
Right.
6 meters. Stelvio has to respond. They do. There it is. Now, you can just slowly roll off the front in one of these situations, though. 6 meters, Munden gets it back involved. Okay, it's shut down. But they were in a little bit of danger point a little bit for a moment.
You can if the group isn't being attentive. But there's
Exactly.
plenty of horse, right. And
And
this
with
is
the
it
sprint
now.
coming up, here we go, open it up. And now, of course, nothing was going to happen with this opening up right here. Shire now. Ooh, right to the line, though. Who's going to
Look at
get
all those
it?
drafts.
Oh, my gosh. It's going to be Bardovskaya. Going to grab it from Cryogen. Shire.
Cryo.
Next.
Well, and they're showing you why they're the top team. They've been dominant so far this season. Sox for Watts trying to make a run at it, but I must say that they're not going to do significant damage to Cryo here, no matter how this one plays out. Cryo has weathered the storm out here today as we're starting to see this flurry of attacks. It's old school fury at this point on the front. Jane Despis, the Australian, going to hit out at 2K to go, and they're going to cover and kill this one too, Nathan. They're not playing around out here.
Tarquino suffering for that early move. It looks like 4.8, 44 kilometers per hour. She may catch because they caught Despas. And I think because of that, they're all going to sit up and look at each other. Crowd and Stelvio, they'll go to the front and say, okay, you're going to have to really make a chase here, Ellen, if you want to get back on terms. 45, 46, 45. That's the difference here between them. She does have more speed, but she's really going to have to dig right now at 153, 154, 57, 59. The heart rate's going up. She's got 2 seconds to close, and they're 1.5 kilometers to the line. If you make the catch, do you just roll, Dave? I mean, man, tough.
Might as well
for Ellen.
She's gonna. I have to give her credit. I'm a little surprised she's able to get back into this group. So you know what? Either way, she wasn't gonna do worse than, let's call it 12th place or so out of this group. Make it 10th, I think, out of this group. Is that 10 riders? Yes, it is. So she certainly has at least put herself back in the conversation. Tarquino showing some heart here as we're down to 1K to go at this point.
1K to go, 1K to go. And there's going to be a left-hand turn here in just a moment. And as they make their way around here, Sox Watts, Despa's going to be the one leading things out.
Let's see what we've got. Is Jane is going to try to cut again. Yeah, they're going to make that catch now. All right, this is going to be fascinating as they come up on 700 meters to go, the final sprint. This is Sox for Watts' big opportunity here. They've got a crack in the armor, or a chink in the armor now. Can they pick up a point or two on Cryo? Cryo, the team in white and blue, white on the shoulders. As
if they can
Sisu,
stack the
racing
podium,
girl.
it's huge. It's a lot of points. I mean, obviously they've been covered a ton here, but with 4 riders up here, they may be able to eke out 1 point or so against.
I think that's about it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, for the day when it comes to overall for the teams
all this
here.
work, but you've got to drive this final nail home, or else you can watch all of that work. If Cryo goes 1-2 here, that could completely disrupt that small gain. Small gain, actually. They're having the difference. So really depends on your perspective here. And here you go. Sox for Watts is going to open this one up. It's going to be Paul, the 5K hero. Shire also right to the front. So it looks like Sox for Watts is going to do what they needed to do here, make the most out of this situation. Cryo is going to try to respond, but I think Sox for Watts is going to take care of business here.
Ooh, and Aeonian disrupt it. Aeonian disrupt it and take third. So actually, Cryogen end
even
up
better.
in 4th and
Even
5th
better.
there with a 1-2 going to Sox for Watts. Nice job to Sox for Watts making it happen there. And on the ladies' side of things, it was Lawrence and Paul right to the line. No, Shire, excuse me, and Paul right to the line. I'm not sure where Lawrence ended up coming in. We'll take a look at the results here. For the results, everybody, we're only going to look. We just went through so many races back to back to back. Because of that, we are only going to look at this women's race for these results, as we've been live for pushing 3.5 hours here at this point. So. And we've got a lot more races to come at you for the rest of the day. But obviously, WTRL.racing, the place to go for all of the results. But I do want to take a look here at how things just played out for us. Dave, as I get this going up here, for the day here, what was the moment of the day for you? We had a lot of 5K to go heroes throughout the day. We had 4 races up. Was there, out of all those races right there, a moment that stuck out to you the most?
Yeah, I guess I would say Gabrielle Schumann and her having the courage to make that bike change, and a great example of do what you can for your team. And she picked up points in a sprinter's race basically here today. She made the most of the situation. So I think that creativity and courage was what stood out for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there 100%. As only place that we actually saw a bike swap work out so far today in the A categories.
And it was a very specific thing there. It didn't work out for the overall win, but it worked out for what her objective was. So that's, I think, important to note. You got to pick your moments in esports racing.
I'd agree with that 100%. Is that what she was after there and what she could get done for the team was accomplished through that bike swap. I do know across a lot of the other categories, there are probably other bike swaps that took place that had a lot of battles play out. We want to hear about them. If you do share them over on social medias, tag myself and Dave as well as ZCL up. We'll share them up as well. Or at least highlight them. We love to hear about how it played out for you. I want to know how it played out for Sai. Sai is, I think, all done with this.
Yeah, me too.
At this point, I want to know what exactly happened there for him. But let's take a look here at the standings and how it ended up playing out the results and how it ended up playing out just now in this women's race that we just watched. Sox Watts, Aero Unicorns. They do go 1-2, Dave. Amy Henderson for Aeonian Aces. And it was Cryogen Stelvio. They go 4th, 6th, and 7th. CCR Race Girl end up grabbing a couple of spots there. But Natalie Lawrence is in 5th. This is big for Sox for Watts.
You can always go to WTRL.racing to see where everything stands. That's going to be close. Ruth Shire taking the win. Guxa Paul, for second. Amy Henderson, Aeonian Aces, in third. It's Usilia Bardovskaya in fourth. And we're going to hear more from her for Crouch and Stelvio. Socks for Watts, Astro Unicorns has Natalie Lawrence, the legend, in fifth. Joe Munden out of the UK for Cryogen in sixth. Her teammate Louise Gamps, the Danish rider, in seventh. It's Jane Despis, the Australian, in eighth. Carly Johan racing here in America for Sisu, and her teammate Ellen Tarquinio in 10th place out here. So that's the race that we just watched with the women in the West Division 1 EMEA.
Yeah, and we will we'll point you on over to, I mean, since we just did 4 different races with 4 different outcomes across 4 different standings, and we had to jump back to back to back in the racing. We still have some racers out on course within the other categories for the women. So we're going to let everybody finish up before we head, before bringing anything more up here. So we want to point you all over to WTRL.racing, especially our new viewers that are jumping in. I know that there's some new that are coming in that maybe are into Zwift, but not into racing out on Zwift. Head on over to WTRL.racing, find a team, head on over to their Facebook group as well. There's a post, Dave, there's like a post almost every day, I feel like, for recruiting. With 13,000 racers on a weekly basis that are signed up for these races, it's the largest sporting community and, you know, one of the best ways to largest sporting community on a weekly basis, and one of the best ways to get amazing workout and push each other and awesome camaraderie. I'm just amazed every week of what we're able to do here, and really, really thankful for it. But next up, besides doing that, we're going to have America's East and America's West still coming at you for Zwift Racing League race number 3 on the Chasing the Sun. I'm going to be chasing the sun into the west as I watch it go down.
We all will.
For the America's East, I'll be here for that with Dave, and then Kate will be on for West later tonight. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you in just a couple of hours. Again, WTRL.racing. If you haven't done so already, subscribe, follow, like, comment. It helps the channel a lot, and we'll see you in a couple hours for America's East. As always, ride on.